Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The October 22nd, 2007 special recess meeting of the City Council is called to order. These proceedings are being presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. Today, with two gentlemen appearing before us who purportedly were the signatories on exhibit number 15, which are the wedding. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Bridges. We left off last Wednesday with two gentlemen appearing before us, Pastor Diaz and Pastor Williams, and we gave them the opportunity, if they wanted to have attorneys representing them here today. I understand that Mr. Coca is here on behalf of Pastor Diaz. If you'd be kind enough to come up, Mr. Coca, with the pastor. I have no need to prolong or agonize anybody regarding this, but I've been advised, Mr. Coca, if you'd be kind enough to identify yourself for the record.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. Frank Coca, K-O-C-K-A, here on behalf of Reverend Jesse Diaz.
And we appreciate you being here today. I've been advised by Mr. Henry of the City Attorney's Office that if called to testify concerning the exhibits which are referred to as Exhibit 15 in our record, that your client would assert his privilege against self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
All right, then you're excused, sir.
Thank you.
And I understand that Ms. Bolton, Jennifer Bolton, is representing Pastor Williams. Would you be kind enough to identify yourself for the record, Ms. Bolton?
Good afternoon, Council. Jennifer Bolton, appearing with Pastor Williams.
Thank you. And I understand from Mr. Henry that he has had discussions with you, and Pastor Williams would assert his privilege against self-incrimination if called to testify. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, then you're excused. Thank you very much. All right, we're now in the process of Mr. Steins has completed his directed exam of Ms. Lewell, and Mr. Jerbick is in the process of cross-examining.
Before the cross-examination, Your Honor, I have two more exhibits, copies for all members of the council and the mayor regarding the trip to Houston. More evidence that, in fact, she was there.
All right, very good. If you'd be kind enough to put those into the record and hand them to Ms. Bridges, please.
Mr. Jerbick has copies.
You know, if I could just ask a question of you and our legal staff. During our deliberations this afternoon, then, because of those ministers that was claimed the Fifth, are we still allowed to look at this type of information given to us as far as our decision making?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
You can consider anything that's before you, so certainly you can consider the testimony given and any documents that are before you. I think that you ought not consider or draw any inference from the fact that the two ministers decided to assert their Fifth Amendment rights.
Well, I guess for my own edification, I don't know about the other council members, but I would like to have some type of I guess, in my own mind, is this in fact damageable to a couple that got married during this time, as far as their marriage being legitimate, I guess. I mean, to me, when you take this document and you take it over to the county clerk and they stamp it, it's a recognized document. And now all of a sudden, the person that was supposedly witnessing this didn't witness. She was 1,000 miles away. What does that do to that marriage license?
Mayor Pro Tem, this morning in the Las Vegas Sun, there was an article.
I don't believe anything I read in the papers.
Well then, I would agree with the advice that allegedly was given by DA Civil Division to the city clerk, which is that this question is a matter of first impression in Nevada. That means the Nevada Supreme Court has never ruled on it. Based on other things that they have ruled upon, including the situation where someone held himself out to be a minister, married some people, and it turned out that he wasn't a minister, but the court still said that they were married. I think probably the Supreme Court would rule in this instance that they were married. Courts in other jurisdictions, other states that have confronted this situation have ruled that way. However, probably out of an abundance of caution, those people who are concerned that there is an irregularity with their marriage in a garden of love and the documents filed might get remarried, if nothing else to protect them from an assertion by a third party that they weren't married. For example, if one of the people married were to die in future and the survivor were to claim some sort of survivor benefits, either under insurance or from the government, it's conceivable that the insurance company or the government could assert that they're not entitled to these benefits because they weren't married.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll put this on the record too, I understand that we have to have a witness, and to me that witness is supposed to be sworn before God or the country or whatever that I was there when this couple got married, and in this case here, that's not the way it is, so it is a problem with me.
Right, and I believe that Mr. Henry, in responding to your inquiry, Mayor Pro Tem, said that the county district attorney advised the city clerk. I believe he meant the county clerk.
Yes, I'm sorry, Your Honor, if I misspoke myself.
No problem. All right, we're ready to go.
Mayor Pro Tem, I pulled from the office of the county clerk the information sheet for an officiant at a wedding. There is a procedure outlined in here for rectifying mistakes on the marriage certificate and the application. There's a fee of anywhere between $15 to $34 per document. Let's assume $34. At each of these weddings, it is my understanding that a photographer was present. The photographer is a witness. And only the minister who performed the wedding can go to the clerk's office and amend the certificate. If the ministers would pay the $34, go in and amend it after finding out which photographer was present at which wedding, then the document would be official with the name of a person who was present and who did witness the wedding. And that would seem to me to solve the problem.
It shouldn't be necessary, though. It shouldn't be necessary.
Correct, but
And I don't know how many times this has happened or why it happened. That's not the point. The point is, it happened. And nobody should have to spend 5 cents or $500 or $34 to get something rectified that is wrong.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just stating that so that you know that there is a simple way to remedy it rather than, remarriage is fine, but there is a simpler way. Just amend the certificate with the name of the person who was present being the photographer.
Okay, we appreciate that. Time is fleeting because of prior commitments, and I'm going to wind this up in a timely fashion. So, Mr. Chervick, your turn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Wool, how many days a week is the Garden of Love open?
7 days a week.
And how many days of the week are you physically present at the Garden of Love?
Usually 7 days a week.
And how many hours during those 7 days?
From 10 in the morning till midnight. Well, it can vary 10 to 10, 10 to 8, 10 to midnight, but most of the time I'm there on property.
Other than April 7th, 2007, when your name was used on those wedding licenses that were marked as, I think, Exhibit 15, without your permission, were there any other days that have ever come to your attention?
Objection. I'm objecting. I don't think there's anything in the record which would suggest at this point in time that it was without her permission. Now, if you want to ask her whether or not these ministers had her permission, she's under oath and she can answer that question.
I agree, Your Honor, my mistake.
No problem.
You testified that you were out of town on April 7th, 2007, when those wedding licenses were executed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And your name appears on 17 of them. Is that correct?
I believe it's 17 or 19. Yes.
Did you give anyone permission at the Garden of Love, a minister or anyone else, permission to use your name on those licenses in your absence?
When I'm not there, no.
Have you ever indicated to anybody they could use your name when you're not there?
No, not when I'm not there, no.
have you ever had it brought to your attention that wedding licenses were executed at the Garden of Love, which contained your name as a witness when you were not there, other than these on April 7th, 2007?
No, sir.
How long have you been open for business?
From actually November 21st of 2002.
I'm going to show you a document that I briefly showed your attorney.
And Mr. Jovic, if you would use the mic if we're going to be speaking from the middle of the...
I'll face over your own.
No problem. That would apply to you and Mr. Stein. Whoever's speaking from the middle, please hold the mic so we can make a record of this.
Apparently, there we go. I'm showing you a document which purports to contain a list of every wedding that occurred at the Las Vegas Garden of Love just for 1 month. In this particular case, it's from December 1st, 2006 to December 31st, 2006. Are you familiar with that document, or have you seen documents like that before?
No. This is the first time ever.
Could you just peruse through that, and does that look to you, on average, like approximately the number of weddings that would be performed at the Las Vegas Garden of Love in a 1 month period?
Probably.
Do you notice in the column second from the left a line for witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Do you notice your name appearing in that column?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I can represent to this council that I have counted the number of weddings, or had my office count the number of weddings on this particular document, and there are over 1,300. Ms. Lul's name appears over 900 times as witnesses for weddings during the month of December of 2006. Ms. Lul, having shown you that document, having made that representation, to the best of your knowledge, were you the witness for over 900 marriages?
Probably.
during December of 2006?
Probably,
And you
sir.
were present for all of them?
Yes, I was.
I'll make a copy for council before I introduce it. I'm going to have this marked as the next exhibit in line and file with the clerk. I think you also were present last week when Rebecca and Douglas Wilson from Connecticut showed up and were unable to testify because they had to return home. Were you present for that?
I wasn't in here, no.
Okay. Are you familiar with Rebecca and Douglas Wilson?
Yes, I am.
How is it that you're familiar with them?
They made wedding reservations through the Garden of Love.
When they made reservations for the Garden of Love, do you remember what their arrangement was with you?
What do you mean arrangement?
What kind of wedding did they arrange with the Garden of Love?
They arranged a wedding on 7707 with a reception.
And do you remember how much you charged for that particular wedding package?
The total wedding package for Rebecca and Doug Wilson was $10,000.
Can you break that down for us? How much was for the wedding? How much was for the reception?
Sure, no problem. The reception, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, was over $5,000, or roughly about $5,000, and the wedding was about $5,000. They had 2 hair and makeups. They also rented 3 tuxedos, which we never received back. Limousine service, photos, video. She wanted everything under the sun, and the biggest part was she wanted her reception hall for 30 people, and on July 6th, which I have documentation, she came into the wedding chapel and tried to cancel her wedding reception the day before 7/7/07, the busiest day of the year, which was already prepaid with a 4-tier wedding cake, a DJ, and a sit-down dinner with steak, prime rib, and a full open bar, which I did not do receptions at the Garden of Love, so that is all like outdoor, where we cater out to them. We have a company that does it.
Let me just take a one question at a time.
Okay, thank you.
The Wilsons, isn't it true that they were not solicited from the courthouse system? They made their reservations in advance by way of the internet or telephone?
Correct, it was over the phone.
And you say it was $5,000 for the wedding, $5,000 for the reception?
Roughly.
And isn't it true that that wedding was not going to be at the premises of the Garden of Love, that was going to be at the Bellagio Hotel?
That wedding was at the sidewalk.
At the sidewalk?
Correct.
At the sidewalk of where?
On the strip.
Is the sidewalk of a hotel?
Right in front of the hotel, correct, on
The
the
sidewalk of
strip.
the Bellagio?
Correct, on the strip.
So you were going to perform a wedding on the sidewalk in front of the
I wasn't performing a wedding.
The Garden of Love was paid to perform a wedding on the sidewalk in front of the Bellagio Hotel.
The Garden of Love was paid for a photographer to go out to do photos, a videographer to go out and do video, and a driver to pick them up, take them over there, a beautician to go to her hotel room and do her hair and makeup, and a reception hall to be paid for. This is what the Wilsons wanted.
I'm missing something here because I didn't hear minister in there.
The minister is paid directly from the wedding couple. It's not paid by me. Thank you.
So they did not arrange a wedding with you, they just arranged everything but the minister.
Correct. What we do is we send a minister out to perform a wedding wherever the wedding couple wants a wedding performed. Okay, so she wanted photos, she wanted flowers, she wanted a video, she wanted a makeup artist and a beautician in her hotel room, she wanted a driver to pick her up, she wanted numerous things done, and I abided by all of that. She wanted 3 tuxedos, which we picked her up and brought her and got her fitted for.
I'll be trying to control this so we don't go on here forever.
Sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No problem.
Do you have any other locations for the Garden of Love other than the one on Las Vegas Boulevard?
You mean Wedding Chapel?
Wedding Chapel?
No.
Do you have any of the business licenses in Southern Nevada other than the business license with the City of Las Vegas for Garden of Love?
No.
Do you have one with Park County to do business?
No.
Do you remember who the minister was that performed the ceremony for the Wilsons?
Carlos, Pastor Carlos.
So if the Wilsons were to testify later today that they were charged $1,000 for a wedding and $3,000 for a reception, which they never received, that would not be accurate.
That would not be accurate.
Where was the reception held that you threw for the Wilsons?
It was called the La Honda, and it's on Flamingo and Eastern.
La Honda?
La Honda. Which I can
Were
bring
you present for were you a witness to this wedding?
No, I was not a witness.
Do you know who was a witness?
I have no idea.
Do you know who the minister was?
I told you that, Carlos, Pastor Carlos.
Pastor Carlos?
Correct.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
And the photographer and everybody else was supplied by you, is that correct?
Correct.
Has Pastor Carlos done other weddings for you?
Yes,
How many?
numerous.
He is somebody that you could get at the Garden of Love Chapel itself if you were to walk in for a wedding?
Of course. If you wanted to. He does Spanish ceremonies, he does regular ceremonies. It all depends, what
Does
you
he still
want.
work for you at the Garden of
Yes,
Love?
he does.
How long has he been working for you at the Garden of Love?
About a year.
How'd you find him?
Through a church. One of my ministers that works at a church.
Going back to the Wilson's reception, do you know for a fact that they were taken to this particular reception?
They canceled their reception, just like they tried to do on the 6th, on the night of the 7th. They told the limousine driver that they did not want to go to the reception, they wanted to go back to their hotel.
And is that what happened?
Correct.
Have you heard from them since?
I haven't heard from them directly. They did come in on the, I want to say 8th or 9th, and caused a scene that they were asked to leave by the Metro Police Department.
Let me go back to some of the testimony regarding the activities of the Garden of Love at or near the Regional Justice Center here in town. Do you pay solicitors to solicit business for the Garden of Love at or near the Regional Justice Center?
We paid a handbill in front of the Clark County Courthouse or Regional Justice Center.
If I were just a stranger who was interested in hand billing for your business, how would I make an arrangement to do that for you?
Well, there's different ways. You could talk to one of the hand billers downtown, usually Tori Mandela, and explain to him, like, if you do, if you needed a job and if we had it available, then they would come up and fill out a job application.
How do you typically hire people? Do they come into the chapel itself, or do you meet them on the street, or?
Usually, my uncle actually does the hiring of hand billers.
And what's your uncle's name?
Tori Mandela.
Can you spell the last name?
Mandilla.
And he's in charge of the hand billing aspect of the Garden of Love's business?
Correct.
Do you know how it is that he goes about finding people to do the hand billing?
Usually what happens is, I don't know if you guys know what happens. A hand biller will lose their job at another location, meaning Special Memory, Garden of Love, and they're what we call actually, they go from chapel to chapel to chapel to chapel. So what they do is they say, hey, Cheryl, I don't want to work for Special Memory anymore. They made me mad. Can I come work for you again? Or, Cheryl, I'm sorry for leaving you and going for Special Memory or Stained Glass. They promised me the world, and can I come back to work for you? Or they'll go up to Rob, and his name's Tori, but we call him Rob, and say, can we have our job back, please, because we're not making it at the other location. Usually these people have been with me for, a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Who directs these handlers as to how to conduct themselves in front of the Clark County, or in front of the Regional Justice Center?
I actually conduct them on how to act. They're supposed to dress up, they're supposed to act, stay behind the line, they're supposed to be, just do their job.
Do you have any rule that you tell them regarding the number of handlers that should descend, for want of a better term, upon a single client?
Usually, no. Upon a client,
Right.
no. Usually it's just one person. You walk up to a person, you hand them, you guys have a wedding chapel, you hand them a handbill, and then you go right upstairs through the glass doors, and then they'll say something like, and make sure your license is spelled correctly because, you don't want any inaccurate information on your license.
Have you ever instructed your handlers to proceed in groups of more than one to solicit a particular client?
Have I done that?
Yes. Have you?
No.
I didn't ask you how you've done that. Have you directed your handlers to do that?
No.
Have you ever told your handlers to harass other handlers?
No.
Have you ever told your handlers to harass clients?
No.
Have you ever told your handlers to threaten people who go with a rival wedding chapel as opposed to Garden of Love?
No, sir.
Have you ever been witness to activity at or around the Regional Justice Center by handlers employed by Garden of Love, which you consider objectionable? In other words, have you ever seen handlers that work for you doing things you'd rather not see them do?
Have I ever seen them doing anything incorrectly?
Yes.
Like opening their mouth? Yes. And have I reprimanded them for it? Yes. Will I send them home directly? Yes.
Have you ever fired anyone for it?
Have I ever let anybody go? Yeah. Can't say I haven't.
But it's your testimony that you've never directed anybody or threatened anybody or told anybody to threaten anyone.
That's right.
So if there were testimony that you had paid, or Garden of Love had paid homeless people money to harass people, that would be incorrect.
That would be totally incorrect.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask this question. Is there a difference between a handbiller and a solicitor?
For me,
Yes.
a wedding chapel owner can actually solicit their business, so when I'm down at the courthouse, I can actually talk to the wedding couple. The additional handlers are just supposed to hand the flyers to the couple.
So
there is a difference.
A handbiller is not supposed to speak to anybody.
That's correct.
Just hand out documents.
Correct.
And the solicitor has the job of not only handing documents, but also trying to get them to do something.
The only person that can solicit their own business is an owner.
So you're saying the only...
Unless they have a solicitor's permit, which they get from the business license. Like, if you are an owner, you can solicit your business. Otherwise, if you're a handbiller, you're just supposed to stand like the guys on the strip and hand them a
Right, but you had a solicitor's license as well.
No, I do not, sir.
So in other words, the only people who can talk, according to you in your testimony today under oath, is yourself.
Is the owner of the wedding chapel. So if the owner of...
And the owners are yourself and your husband, correct?
Correct.
And you're the only ones who are allowed to talk, according to the license that you have.
Correct. They actually...
All right, that's it.
Okay.
That's where I was going next. You're aware that there is a city requirement that for individuals other than the owner of business would have to get a solicitation permit?
Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
You are aware that there is a city code provision that requires that people other than the owner of a business who solicits on behalf of that business need to get a solicitation permit?
That's correct.
Are you, do you monitor your handlers to make sure they have solicitation permits in case they do talk to people?
And they're not supposed to solicit.
Have you had situations where people on your payroll have solicited without a solicitation permit?
We had where, not where somebody asked them a question and they answered a question back. Meaning like, hey, I like this flyer right here. Can you tell me how to get there?
Let me ask you this, Ms. Lowell.
Yes, sir.
Do any of your employees at the Las Vegas Garden of Love have a solicitor's license?
No, sir, they don't.
So then you would admit that your employees have no power other than to hand out a piece of paper and do nothing else to solicit business for the Garden of Love?
That is correct.
So any conversation with any client would be in violation of the requirements they have solicitation permit?
No, that's incorrect, because just like I said before, if somebody asked them a question, this was, I don't know if you guys know, but the business license officials came down and put us all in a huddle and explained to us what you can and cannot do as a handler. And they asked us if we wanted to get solicitor's permits, that we would have to go through an insurance company to get a bond. I went through Stephen Laycock to try to get a bond through the city of Las Vegas to do it correctly, okay? And when he called to ask what kind of bond do you need, the city could not inform them of what kind of bond that they needed, and I'm talking about this is in 2003.
All right.
You would agree then that your handlers, solicitors do not have the ability to initiate an advertising conversation with the client?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, they have not?
Well, correct.
Going back to the wedding we talked about earlier with the Wilsons at the Bellagio, have you ever arranged a wedding at any other hotel on the Strip besides the Bellagio?
Well, we do weddings also at the Valley of Fire, Red Rock, Lake Las Vegas. We do yacht weddings. We do gondola weddings at Lake Las Vegas. You know, we do helicopter rides. So it's not that we don't do other weddings. It's just that they're not done on the property at Las Vegas Garden Club. We have a Red Rock permit. We have a Valley of Fire permit. It's all permits that you have to get. And you purchase a helicopter ride. You explain to them through Papillon Helicopter or Sundance Helicopter that a minister is going to go in there, perform a wedding service inside the helicopter, so you actually have to rent the whole helicopter.
How about license? Do you have a business license at the City of Henderson?
A business license?
Mm-hmm.
No.
When you get paid to do a wedding at the chapel or at a off-premises site like the Strip, you indicated that you got paid $5,000 in the case of the Wilson's wedding. Is that a typical price to charge for one of those?
No, that's not what I got paid. That's what I directed them to pay because of all the other things that we had to do for them, like their tuxedos, their hair and makeup, their, you know, for a beautician to go to a hotel, it's not cheap. You know, so they have to go to a hotel, and especially on the busiest day of the year.
I'll give you a chance to explain. Let me
Okay,
break
sorry,
this down,
I apologize.
Sometimes I don't understand,
Okay,
believe
it's
it or
okay.
not. What I wrote down was $5,000 for the reception, $5,000 for the wedding, and what you're saying is that wedding was more than just your average wedding. It was makeup, tuxedos, and things like
Correct,
that.
which I never received back.
What would be the average cost for a wedding that you perform at the Bellagio or any other place?
Weddings can range from $300 to $50,000.
Okay.
You know, so it depends on what the people want, what day it is. You know, Valentine's Day, 7707. You know, weddings, any wedding chapel for 7707 was charging 5 times what it was.
You answered my question.
Okay.
When I make that arrangement with you, whether it's a $300 wedding or a $10,000 wedding,
Correct.
do I just write one check for the whole thing to you?
No, sir, you
How
don't.
do I do that?
You can pay it as how you would want to pay it. On behalf of Garden of Love, I dealt with the Wilsons directly, so I don't need anybody else to talk about it.
Not talking about the Wilsons. I'm
Okay.
talking in general. How do I go about paying for a wedding with
It
you?
could be numerous different ways. There's people that have a lot of money and says, I want to pay my wedding in full. There's people that don't have any money and says, I can only put $20 down. I work with the customer.
Are you a one-stop shop? In other words, when I go to you for a wedding, I don't have to pay the florist. I don't have to pay for the tuxedo. I don't have to pay for the organist. I just pay you whatever that amount is.
It could be. It all depends what you want. I don't have zoot suits, so I would have to send you somewhere else.
Regardless of what, let's assume it's something that you have.
Then it could be a one-stop shop.
Right.
It could be.
So you pay for the photographer. Out of whatever you charge me for the wedding, you pay for the photographer.
No. No, I don't.
Okay. Let me try and back up and break
Okay.
this down. Let's just suppose for a simple wedding, I want a photographer,
Okay.
tuxedo,
Okay.
music,
Yep.
and a minister.
Okay.
You quote me a price.
Photographer, music,
No, let's say you do
$99.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And on top of that, I'm asking you that the minister works on a donation-only basis. Give a donation from your heart.
So if you're sworn testimony, then that you do not pay the minister anything?
I do not pay the minister a dime, and nor do I take any money from the minister.
When is it that you first became aware of the wedding licenses that had your name on them as a witness that purportedly were filled in when you were out of town in Texas? When did you first become aware?
May 10th.
And
And
then,
how I know that is because the labor board came in with the detective to talk to me. He brought the labor board with him, and it was detective, I think his name's Shonen, and another person, which I did not get her name, and then a labor board lady, which also I had a slip on the last time we were here, that she came in, and he walked into the minister's office with me.
Who was he?
Detective Shonen, I okay? Walked into the minister's office with me. I went through all the stuff with the labor board, and then he said to me, "Can I ask you a question?" "Sure." "Were you here on April 7th? "No, I wasn't, sir. I was watching George St. Pierre at Houston at the UFC. "Are you sure you weren't here?" "I'm positive." He pulled out the marriage licenses. I never saw a name of a marriage license, a name of a wedding couple, a certificate number, nothing. All they did was skim through it and show me that my name was on the certificate, and who the one minister was. I never knew that Jesse Diaz had done the also same thing.
After you became aware that your name was on licenses on a date when you were not in town, did you make any effort to contact the ministers to make a correction?
I did it directly to Philip Williams myself. Said, "Phil, a police officer came in here and said that my name was on," I said about a fact because I didn't know how many, "of marriage licenses. I was not here, Phil. You need to amend them." He said that he would handle it. He would have a sit down with Shirley Paragary.
Did the fact that your name was used when you were out of town on 17 licenses on that particular day cause you concern that your name might have been used on other days as well?
No, I knew my name was used before because I've done photos for wedding couples. I set up wedding couples. A lot of wedding couples see me all over the news and want me in their wedding service. This isn't the first time. We had our own reality show, Las Vegas Garden of Love. People come to our wedding chapel. They've seen me on Cops. They've seen me on numerous things. I'm being honest, where they see me on numerous things, numerous newspaper articles, and they actually ask me, "Can I have a picture of you? Could you come inside our wedding service?" And we came here for you.
The list of weddings that I showed you for December 2006, were you out of town for any day during 2006? Oh, December 2006?
In December, no.
Can you remember any time between December and let's say now where you've been out of town for a day or more?
I can't remember a day. I usually am at the Garden of Love all day long.
So then your trip to Texas must stand out in your mind then as something fairly special.
It was a very special day because it was the first day I've ever, in the 5 years that I owned my wedding chapel, left my chapel on a Saturday. And I called every 15 to 20 minutes to make sure everything was okay. And I called not only my staff, but my drivers, and just to make sure I'm that type of person. See, this is my love. This is my drive.
Whoa. There's no question before you.
Do you own any other businesses that perform weddings or are responsible for weddings other than the Garden of Love?
No.
Do you have any other names that you've registered, even if they're not active businesses?
Yes, sir, I have.
Can you give us some of those names?
Las Vegas Wedding Bureau. Long time ago, Chapel of the Stars. I have like probably 10, 15 names. The reason why I did the names was in case I did want to open other locations. I was going down names that people would use. And there's other people here with my name.
There's no question in front of the witness,
Okay.
Mr. Joey.
I'll try and control the witness a little more, Your Honor. In order to keep this on
Okay.
time, just please listen to the question and give me the direct answer
All right.
to it. Have you ever used any of those other names that you've registered other than the Garden of Love?
No, a Las Vegas Garden of Love.
You've never used them on brochures or for advertising purposes or for payroll or anything else?
Las Vegas Garden of Love.
Your Holiness, Your Honor, I think I just got done. You also testified earlier, I believe, that you do background checks on the individuals that work for you?
Correct. If they're in, yes.
Has it ever been the case that you've done a background check after they've left your service as opposed to before?
I have done background checks after they have even left, yes.
What would be the purpose of doing a background check after somebody's left your employee?
Because there was an actual incident where I did a background check on a lady named Rebecca Davis and Sierra Sheldon, okay? Their background check came up clean, okay? But I found out Rebecca Davis came to me and said, "Cheryl, I cannot lie to you. I am wanted in California." And so is Sierra, now she's Balderrama because she got married, but it was Sierra Sheldon.
Understand.
Thank you.
How is it, can you walk me through one more time real quickly, the process that you use to perform a background check on an individual?
Yeah, I actually do it through usually through the internet.
So you,
Intellis or through the district court or through the court.
And on the occasion where Angel, I believe Huerta, whatever his name was hired, you say that is an individual that was hired without a background check?
That is true. That was hired through Tori Mandela. I'm the one that actually did the
No,
background.
there's no question before the witness.
Nothing about that, Your Honor. Give me one moment, please. I don't have any further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, any redirect?
Yes, sir. Briefly. Mrs. Llewell, on cross-examination, you were asked a group of questions by Mr. Jervik concerning whether or not you ever gave permission to anyone to use your name as a witness for a marriage when you were not there. Is it your testimony that you never gave anyone permission to use your name if you were not present?
No, I never gave anybody any alternative to use my name when I'm not there.
Did you ever give anyone permission to use your facsimile stamp of your name when you were not there?
No, sir.
Your name appears as a witness on numerous weddings in December of 2006, pursuant to whatever that exhibit is that I don't have a copy of. Did you see that exhibit?
Yes, I did.
Were you present for all of those weddings?
I was present for all of them.
Are you present for a great majority of the weddings at your chapel
Yes, sir, I am.
since you've opened
Yes, sir, I
to
am.
the present day?
Yes.
And I'm referring to the Wilson reception. The reception was off premises, was it not?
It was.
And it was at some location where they wanted steak and lobster and wine and an open bar and a nice wedding.
Shake and perm ribbon, yes. Everything that they wanted.
Did you pay for that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you have to pay for it to book that location?
Yes, sir, I did because it was the busiest day of the year.
Were you ever repaid by the Wilsons
No,
for that?
sir, I was not.
Now, Mr. Jervik asked you how you were paid. Were you paid by credit card for that wedding?
What happened was the Wilson's credit card would not go through for $4,000. So they asked me to do it on July 6th, the day before the wedding. The reason why it posted on the 9th is because that's when it posted because the banks were closed. But on July 6th, $1,000 were taken out while Dave Wilson was standing right in front of me.
So you got actually $4,000 swiped from a credit card to pay for your expenses in that wedding.
It was four $1,000 payments because it wouldn't take a full payment of $4,000.
And how much did you lay out for the reception then?
Over $4,000.
So you took a loss on that wedding?
Yes, I did.
Did the Wilsons, to your knowledge, file a chargeback with their credit card company?
Yes, they did.
Did you contest that chargeback?
Yes, they did. I did.
Did you win that contest?
I did.
Nothing further.
All right. Have a seat, Ms. Llewell.
All right, thank you.
Next witness, please.
Mr. Llewell.
Ms. Bridges, will you swear the witness in, please?
Yes.
Can you state your full name and your business address, please?
Craig Allen Llewell, 1431 Las Vegas Boulevard. Canoga.
Are you one of the two owners of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Correct, yes.
And is your wife Cheryl,
Yes.
who just previously testified?
Yes.
Have you read through the 43 tabs contained in the evidence book given to the city council and to myself?
Yes.
And you see in there quite a few allegations concerning yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
Let's cut to the quick. How many of these allegations are true, sir?
0.
There is an allegation in there about you hitting someone on a particular day. That would be like 12/12 of 06, is that correct?
Yes.
Prior to 12/12 of 06, did you have a medical procedure done to yourself?
Correct. I both of my wrists were broke.
And how were your wrists broke?
On a 4-wheeler,
Big bunch?
on an ATV, alternating vehicle.
And after your Excuse me. After your wrist was broken, what treatment did you receive?
They put plates in both of my wrists. They were casted, and I believe on 12/11 they just took the stitches out.
All right. The allegation I'm referring to is dated 12/12/06, and it refers to Exhibit 39 in the book, members of the council, which states that an incident report was filed with Metro for battery, stating that Craig Llewell punched him in the right eye and kicked someone in the right leg. I have passed up, I believe, copies of the medical reports dated 12/11, verifying that this gentleman was undergoing treatment for broken bones in his wrist the day before this incident, and I would submit that document to indicate that the allegations of the report on 12/12/06 are not accurate.
All right, we'll accept the document.
I accept the document for what it says, Your Honor. I'm not quite sure it says what Mr. Stein just said it says. At least if I'm reading the document, maybe we could read along here. We could agree for a moment as to what it says and what it doesn't
Well,
say.
I think that Mr. Stein is entitled to have the document submitted in evidence. We've accepted it, and you have the opportunity to cross-examine on it.
I appreciate that.
Very good.
Mr. Llewell, you have heard your wife's testimony, is that correct?
Yes.
Who is primarily responsible for the day-to-day operations and the running of the shop?
My wife, Cheryl Llewell.
And what is your job there?
I do a lot of driving the limo.
Were you ever instructed on the regulations of the Nevada Department of Transportation regarding limo driving?
Yes.
Do you ever instruct the other drivers regarding those regulations?
Yes.
And when a driver violates the TSA regulations, to your knowledge, what occurs to them?
They are terminated.
So in all the allegations contained in this exhibit where a TSA regulation was found, were those drivers terminated immediately?
Yes, except for myself.
Did you ever violate the TSA regulation?
No, I can't say I did.
Were you ever cited with violating a TSA regulation?
Yes.
And when was that, and for what?
I don't know the exact date, but I guess there was a sting set up, and they loaded a couple in my car. They told me they wanted to get married and the whole thing, so I started to take them to the chapel. As I made a left on Main Street off of Bonneville, the people in the back said, "We need to get to Meadows Mall right away. We need to get to Meadows Mall right away." And I'm like, I can't do that. And then all of a sudden, a couple squads or TSA informants pulled me over, and they said, "We got a sting operation going. We need to just talk to the people in the back of the car." They pulled them out, questioned them. Next thing you know, they're impounding my vehicle and citing me for going to Meadows Mall.
Where was this limousine pulled over?
Right in front of the Bar and Grill on Main Street. When you take a left on Bonneville off of Bonneville on the Main Street, whatever Bar and Grill that is right there.
At the Ice House?
The Ice House, correct.
And you were cited for taking a couple to the Meadows Mall?
Correct.
And what happened to that citation, sir?
My attorney advised me that it would be best to just take a plea. I don't know why. He just said take a plea, it's $500, and they hold abeyance over here for a couple months and just stay out of trouble and everything will be fine. So I did that. I took his advice.
Now, there are other allegations in here concerning yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are any of them accurate?
Not to my knowledge.
Are any of them true?
No.
Have you ever personally hired anyone to threaten people in front of the RJC or the old courthouse?
Never.
Have you ever hired anyone to beat up anyone, like a competitor or a competitor's employee in front of the RJC or the old courthouse?
No.
Have you ever personally threatened anyone as alleged in these complaints?
No.
Anything else?
No.
Pass the witness.
Very good, Mr. Trevor, cross-examination, please.
Take a look, Mr. Llewell, at the Nevada Orthopedic Center report that your attorney filed as his exhibit. Did you provide this report to your attorney?
Yes.
If you could look at the first page of that report, does it not say in handwriting here today for suture removal?
Correct.
So, I'll reshare this one if you'd like. So you were going back to the orthopedic center for an injury that occurred sometime before the 11th of September, or the 11th of December. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went back to get my stitches removed.
How long before the 11th of December did you receive the injuries to your wrist?
I'm not exactly sure, but they just removed the stitches the day before.
Turning to the second page of the report, and I'm going to read this into the record, Your Honor. It says, reason for visit. This patient is doing very well. Status post-hardware removal. Sutures are removed. He shows very good motion, minimal discomfort, minimal swelling, and he feels strong enough to be able to get back to his regular work duties. Is that not what it says under reason for visit?
Correct.
Is there also not a box checked on the front page of the report that says full duty / no restrictions?
Yes, as a limo driver.
Does it say limo driver?
It does not, but he can be brought into testimony, the doctor.
But it's you'd like this counsel to believe that based upon this report by the Nevada Orthopedic Center that you would have been incapable of being involved in a battery on that same date or the day before?
Yes, with my hands, because they told me not to use my hands, or not to use, not to hit it or use it with heavy weights or anything like that, so it doesn't reopen, basically.
Do you know Jeffrey Clute?
Yes.
How do you know him?
I guess he's the owner's son of another wedding chapel.
You guess or you know?
I'm pretty sure.
Do you know which wedding chapel?
Stained glass.
And how long have you known him?
I've only met him a couple times. I just know from other people down at the courthouse that's what they said who he is.
Have you ever been at the courthouse when he was present? Okay. Have you ever been at the courthouse when he was present?
Yes.
Were you present at all on December 11, 2006, when Mr. Clute alleges there was a battery?
Yes.
And it's your representation that the battery itself did not occur because you were physically incapable of battering him because of the condition of your hands or your wrists?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Strike that. Have you read the incident report for December 11, 2006 involving the incident at the Regional Justice Center involving Jeffrey Clute?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that you had no altercation at all with Mr. Clute on that particular day?
No.
No yelling, no cursing, no threats?
Well, yes, there was.
Okay, please describe what happened in your own words.
Basically, I bought a Raiders jacket from this individual downtown because one of my workers liked the Raiders, so I had bought the jacket for them. As I was walking the jacket to my car, Sierra Balderrama came up and confronted me saying that she was supposed to buy this jacket, it was hers, and I knew nothing about it. Next thing you know, Jeffrey Clute pulls up in front of the courthouse around on Clark Street, jumps out of the car and attacks me, and I held my hands up as he came at me, and I may have kneed him a couple times, and he tried taking me to the ground, and that was it. The bailiffs came out too, and there was a couple other witnesses, I believe.
Did you file a police report?
I went down to file a police report that night, and we actually talked to, I don't know who it was we talked to down there, at actually right outside the doors here. And there was another incident that we ended up going out around the building here to talk about, and it evidently never got filed, because I looked it up.
So any any indication on Mr. Clute that you punched him in the right eye would be incorrect.
Correct, never punched him.
All right?
Mayor,
Yes.
just for clarification, council asked as far as when this incident took place. I'm just looking at the document, Brad, and it states date of injury, May 24th, 06, and it looks like the Mr. Llewell went back on August 25th of 06, and he was released on 12/06, according to the document that was presented to the council. So
The way I read it too.
Okay.
Mr. Stein wants to correct any of that?
I just wanted to just make note of that.
All right, very good. All right, have a seat, Mr. Llewell. Next witness, please.
Next witness is Pastor Carlos Galasilas.
Will you swear the pastor in, please?
Yes, I do. Can you state your full name and your business address for the council?
Carlos Vallecillas, C-A-R-L-O-S, V-A-L-L-E-S-I, L-L-A-S.
What is your occupation, sir? Oh, what is your address? Your business.
A Las Vegas Garden of Love.
Is that the same entity we've been discussing here for a couple of days now?
That is correct.
And what is your position at that location?
I'm a minister.
How long have you been a minister at that particular location?
Approximately about a year now.
Mr. Stein, you want to use the handheld mic, please?
Yes, sir. Is it on? Is it on now? No.
Either that or stick into the regular mic. Problem is, when you're in the middle, we can't pick you up.
It's dead. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. Minister Carlos, directing your attention to Saturday, April 7th, the date that we have been discussing of this year, I believe it is. Do you recall that date?
Yes, I do.
Did you perform any wedding ceremonies on that date for Chapel of Love?
Yes, I did, for Garden of Love and
At the
Chapel.
Garden of Love, excuse me. Was Cheryl Llewell, the owner of that place, present on that date?
She was not.
Did she, before she left, did you know she was going not to be there on that date?
I knew that she was going to be gone for a couple of days. She was going to go see a fight in Houston, Texas.
Did she direct you to use her name as a witness on any of the weddings that were being performed during her absence?
No, she did not.
Did you ever get any instruction from her to use her name as a witness on any marriage ceremonies performed at the chapel or off premises of the chapel?
No, sir.
Did she ever advise you to use her facsimile stamp name as a witness on any of the weddings at the chapel?
No, sir.
How long have you been employed at the Garden of Loves?
It's 11 months, I believe now.
Following April 7th, when Cheryl returned in the month of May, did you happen to be present when Cheryl had a conversation with Minister Phil concerning these particular ceremonies held on April 7th?
Yes, I did.
Can you relate to the mayor and members of the council your recollection of the conversation that you heard between Cheryl Llewell and the minister who had performed a group of weddings on April 7th?
Yes, to the best of my
Is
recollection.
that Pastor Williams you're referring to? All right.
Yes.
I remember I was in the minister's office and Pastor Phil was there, and Miss Cheryl came in, and she stated to Pastor Phil that some detective had been there, and the detective had some licenses, and Miss Cheryl's name was there as a witness, and so she advised him to get him amended. And he just shook his head and said, well, okay, just kind of like that. And that's to the best of my recollection. That's what happened. But she did ask Pastor Phil to amend those licenses to get them corrected.
Nothing further.
All right, cross-examination?
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Pastor. Next witness, please.
Minister Kathleen Reagan.
Please swear the witness.
Can you state your name and your business address for the council?
Kathleen Reagan. I work at Garden of Love as a minister.
How long have you worked as a minister at the Garden of Love?
Since she rented it, since she opened it up.
For several years then?
Yeah.
At any time during your employment, has either Cheryl or Craig Llewell ever told you to sign a name as a witness on a marriage certificate other than the person who was present at the marriage?
No.
Have you ever put a name down on a marriage certificate for a witness of someone who has not been present as a witness?
No.
You heard the testimony of what occurred on April 7th of this year with that group of weddings, have you not?
Yes.
Are you, God bless you. Are you aware of what actions Cheryl took to try to remedy it with the pastors involved?
Well, I know she asked him to amend them. That's all I know.
Okay. She asked the pastor to amend them?
Yeah.
I have nothing further.
All right, we're getting cumulative now.
Well, Your Honor, this was a key point.
I understand, but...
I have one more pastor who will testify the same way.
All right, maybe you can stipulate to that, but let's hear cross-examination by Mr. Jervik.
Just very quickly, Reverend Reagan, do these look to be...
You have to speak up, Mr. Jervik.
Sorry. Do these look to be the types of wedding certificates from marriages that you performed at Las Vegas Garden of Love? Take your time and...
Yes.
Is your name stamped at the top as the individual who officiated at the wedding?
Yes.
Is there also a stamp for the witness?
Yes.
Is this one stamped Cheryl Lewell?
Yes.
And then on the next page is another stamp, Cheryl Lewell, in a slightly different print than the one on the first page, on page 3 of these documents?
Yeah.
Were you the person who affixed the stamp to these particular licenses?
Yes.
And for every time there is
only stamp when she was doing photographs or as a witness in the room.
And that's my question, is every single time, as you represent, every single time I see a stamp that says Cheryl Lewell under witness, it's your sworn testimony that she was physically present as a witness for that wedding, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Mr. Jervis?
You're excused, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, the next witness would have been Pastor James Bracey Jr., who is a minister at Mount Liberty Missionary Baptist Church and a minister at the chapel. He would testify, he's been employed at the chapel since May of 2007, that he has never heard Ms. Llewell give anyone permission to use her name as a witness if she's not present. I've never heard Mr. or Mrs. Llewellyn say that you could put a name down other than someone who is present.
Is that a stipulation, Mr. Chairman?
They would testify.
All right, very good. We'll accept the stipulation.
We'll ask the pastor to be called, and there's a reason. In addition to that testimony would be Pastor Wendell Cosito.
Will you swear the pastor in, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you state your name and your business address for the council, please?
Wendell Cosito, Las Vegas Garden Love, 1431 South Las Vegas Boulevard.
And what is your position at the Las Vegas Garden?
I'm one of the ministers that perform the ceremonies there.
And you've heard the prior testimony regarding the use of witnesses' names.
Yes, sir.
Has Cheryl Llewellyn ever told you to use her name or allowed you to use her name if she was not present?
No, sir.
Has she ever advised you that you use anyone's name who's not present as a witness?
No, sir.
Were you present when Cheryl Llewellyn, did you speak to Pastor Phil about the situation on April 7th?
Yes, I did. Actually, he asked me about what I thought about it, and I said that I think you should re-amend it, get it fixed, and he said he was going to do so, and as a reason as to why he did not, I'm not quite aware as to why he did not get them fixed, but from what I remember, he did say that he was going to get them fixed.
Were you present when Ms. Llewellyn asked him to get them fixed, or did you hear that she had asked him to fix it?
Yes, I was, because I was there when she said, Phil, you put my name on here. I was not even here. And,
And he said he would get it fixed?
He said he would get it fixed.
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Chervick?
Very quickly, did Reverend Williams ever tell you that Ms. Llewellyn told him it was okay to use her name even when she wasn't present?
No, sir.
Are you aware of any occasion where Ms. Llewellyn told anybody that they could use her name as a witness when she wasn't present?
No, sir.
Is it your testimony then that Mr. Williams did he give any reason why he used her name when she wasn't present? That is the name of Cheryl Llewellyn?
No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I have a couple questions, Pastor.
Yes, Mayor.
When you perform a wedding, who pays you? Who pays you?
Basically, what we do is we don't have a minister's fee. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware, but some chapels will have a minister's fee on top of that, collect a donation. And one of the reasons why we keep our prices so low is because we don't charge all these fees. And for us, it's just a donation. So there's times where people give you $1, $5, $20. You just never know. We just ask for a donation from the heart.
Do you ask for the donation, or does Mr. Or Mrs. Lewell do that?
We actually ask we have envelopes that we have printed, and there's suggestions on there, and we just ask them to give from their heart. So it's whatever they would like to give.
So you have no salary whatsoever, you just rely entirely on the donations?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Am I done?
I'm done with you, but...
Okay.
That actually raises another question then, Your
Yeah.
Honor, if you don't mind. Who prints the materials that have the suggested donations on them?
You know what? Ever since I've been with her, one of the ministers had done it. I'm not quite sure who it was, but there was some minister that was on there before I came on, and they had printed it, and we just get them printed all the time. And it just says, minister's donation. There's suggestions on there, and it just says a gift from your heart, thank you, or something along those lines.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
When you say that you get them printed from time to time, do the ministers collectively pay for that printing, or does the Garden of Love pay for that?
We actually pay for them, so there's a minister that goes out and gets them, and he tells us how much they cost, and he divides it by however ministers, 7 or 9 ministers, and we pay him back for what he put out of his own pocket.
Is there any literature produced by the Garden of Love, not by the ministers, but by the Garden of Love, which has suggested donations for the ministers?
No, it's just the ministers. They print it out themselves, and we pay for it. So we just had, like, a few weeks ago, we had about 1,000 made, and we all put out $10 each.
Do you know if the Garden of Love will quote somebody on the telephone or other means? If somebody would call the Garden of Love and ask how much for the minister, would the Garden of Love make a suggestion?
I think sometimes they'll explain that there's an envelope that we give that suggestions on there, and I hope they tell all the time, because I don't want couples coming in and then they're surprised, well, I didn't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that they tell them that we do work off a donation basis, and we'll hand them an envelope.
Do you know if they tell individuals to inquire what the suggested donation is?
I think if they inquire, they'll probably tell them what's on the envelope, that the envelope says this and this, just give from your heart. Okay, am I done? Thank you.
You are done. Thank you. All right. Your next witness, please.
Next witness is Constance Manvilla.
All right. Swear Ms. Manvilla in, please.
Yes.
Can you state your name? Can you state your name and your work address, please?
Constance Manvilla. I work at the Las Vegas Garden of Love, 1431 Las Vegas Boulevard South.
In what capacity do you work in?
I'm a wedding coordinator.
Do you know Cheryl Llewell and Craig Llewell?
Yes, I do.
Do you work for them?
Yes, I do.
Are you related somehow to the Llewells?
Yes, I am.
And how are you related?
I am Cheryl's aunt.
Directing your attention to April the 7th of this year was, to your knowledge, was Cheryl Llewell in town that day?
No, she was not.
Where was she, if you know?
She was in Texas.
Who ran the chapel on that day?
I did.
So you were in charge of running the chapel, and you can verify that Mrs. Llewell was not there?
Correct.
Did you ever hear Mrs. Llewell advise anyone at all that they could sign her name as a witness if she was not present?
No.
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Jovic.
I'm sorry, I know this is awkward before microphone, I apologize. Does anybody review the wedding licenses that leave the Garden of Love before they're filed with the county clerk after they're filled in?
Just the minister.
No questions.
All right. Any redirect?
No.
All right. You're excused. Next, please.
Next witness would be Edwin Wright.
Stein?
Can you state your name and your business address for the council, please?
Edwin Wright, and my business is at 1431 Las Vegas Boulevard South.
Is that the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes.
Chapel of Love? What is your capacity there, sir?
I'm a driver, head driver and supervisor.
You supervise the other drivers of the limousines that are utilized by the chapel?
Yes.
Do you train all drivers on the TSA regulations and how to act appropriately and lawfully?
Yes.
How long have you been the supervisor of drivers at this particular business?
About 4 years now.
When a driver is cited for violating a TSA regulation or rule, what happens to him?
In some cases, the driver is reprimanded or spoken to about his conduct, and in most severe cases, the driver is then terminated.
We've heard about certain violations of the TSA regulations brought forth here. Were all of those drivers terminated for their violations?
For all the citations before us, all the drivers were immediately terminated for their action.
Will that practice continue in the future?
No, will not.
They will not be terminated for violating?
I meant the practices won't be continued, and any
the practice of terminating a driver for violating a TSA rule or regulation, will that be continued in the future?
Yes, it will.
And that is pursuant to whose orders?
That's per sure on Craig's orders.
All right. Mr. Jovic, cross-examination?
No problem.
All right. You're excused, sir. Next, please.
Mayor, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
To the gentleman, or to maybe to counsel here, how soon after the violation were the drivers terminated?
I don't recall every situation. It might have been immediately or right on the spot that the driver was terminated.
All right.
I see Ms. Llewell standing. Is that something you can answer for me, Ms. Llewell?
Oh, you're still on the road.
All drivers that do any illegal transportation and is not a point-to-point shuttle is terminated automatically. We allow them to tell their testimony or talk to us, but 99% of the time we abide by the TSA because they're the rules and regulations for free shuttle transportation. If they do not make this...
So in this particular case, how soon, as far as time-wise?
Probably within a couple of days.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next witness, please.
Next witness, Your Honor, will be Chris Kindle.
All right, swear the witness, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Kindle, can you state your name and your work address?
My name is Christopher DeWine Kendall. I work at Las Vegas Garden Love, 1431 Las Vegas Boulevard South.
How long have you been so employed, sir?
Off and on, almost 5 years.
Did you work for any other wedding chapel other than the one that you just said?
Yes, sir, I have.
Which ones have you worked for?
I've worked for Special Memory. I've worked for Stained Glass Wedding Chapel. I've worked for Vegas Adventure Wedding Chapel. I've worked with Allure. I've even touched bases with Heavenly Bliss.
You go from chapel to chapel depending on certain factors?
Yes, sir, I do.
And Mr. Kindle, were you present last Wednesday when we began this hearing?
I was present.
Your name was mentioned by the council members and by Mr. Jovic and myself regarding incidents alleged to have occurred on May 22nd, 03, May 30th, 03, June 2nd, 03, June 4th, 03, June 24th, 03, and May 1st, 04. Do you remember hearing testimony regarding those things?
I believe so.
I'm directing your attention to May 22nd of the year 2003, which is Exhibit 4 in the book.
All right, and I'm going to advise the council, it's my opinion that this is remote, and you could consider it for whatever weight you want to put on it, but it's going back to 2003, and they received the license after that from our business license office.
I appreciate that.
Well, go ahead, ask him the question, please.
There was an allegation that a complaint was filed by Stephen Smith, who observed a gentleman by the name of John Zaremba being harassed and bothered by you, and that, the complaint filed by Edward Shiner, Exhibit 5, that you were involved in some harassment and intimidation. Did you read that in this book?
Yes.
Is there any truth whatsoever to that statement?
No, sir, it's not.
On May 30th, a complaint was filed by Jason Miller, who stated that you had let the air out of that you asked someone to let the air out of a vehicle's tires. Did you ask someone to let the air out of a vehicle in front of the courthouse?
No, sir, I didn't.
On June 2nd, Shane Colbert filed a complaint that you harassed him while he was talking to a couple and threatened him and his family. Is there any truth to that?
No, sir, I didn't threaten nobody's family.
And that's Exhibit 10, by the way. That last one. On June 4th, 2003, complaint filed by Melinda Alonzo that states that Cheryl Llewellyn was provoking or causing some provocations and that you jumped into a limousine and prevented a driver from driving away. Is there any truth to that, sir?
Absolutely not.
I'm going to skip to June 24th, but is there any truth to that? Is Exhibit 15 any truth to that? That Cliff Everett says you were threatening, intimidating, and using vulgarity and improper language to us.
No, sir.
Did you ever work for Cliff Everett?
No, sir.
Now, on May 1st, 2004, That would be Exhibit 27. There is a report of a battery with Metro that you kicked an agent of Stained Glass Wedding Chapel in the head multiple times, witnessed by several individuals, and that you pled guilty to simple battery and were ordered to pay $3,067 in restitution. Do you recall that incident, sir?
Yes, I do.
Did you in fact plead guilty to a battery and make restitution of $3,000?
That's correct.
Did that case begin as a simple misdemeanor battery charge, sir?
It was a felony.
And did you have an attorney representing you in court?
Yes, I did.
Did that attorney give you advice as to what to do regarding a plea bargain?
Yes, sir.
And was that advice to plead guilty to a misdemeanor and pay restitution rather than go forward on a felony?
That is correct.
And did you take that advice, sir?
Yes, I did.
Can you explain to His Honor and the members and Mayor Pro Tem and the members of the council what occurred in this incident that led you to hit, batter this individual?
That particular day was down at the old courthouse. I was handbilling. A couple came out, asked me some questions about the brochure. I acknowledged those questions. They wanted to see the chapel. There had been some problems with other chapels, and with this particular couple, we was getting ready to go up to the Garden of Love, and an employee from Vegas Wedding Bureau, Cliff Everspot, had walked up on me first, and basically started talking to the couple. Well, not talking to them, but directing them of how the other chapels were thugs and how we had turf, for landscaping the chapel, and went on to say to question, my character like as if I don't know we were friends or brothers or roommates or whatnot. And so with the couple right there at the door of the limousine, this is where all this happened at. I did try to get the couple into the limousine. I could not move this individual out of the way of the door of the limo. And like I said, one thing ensued to the next. I was called niggers. I was assaulted.
You were called?
Yes, by a representative that was a handbiller for Cliff Everts.
He called you that? He called you that?
Along with such and such, yes.
What did you do in response to that epithet?
Well, we started arguing more, and this individual actually got up in my face more, started spitting on me, and basically we got into a tussle, and another representative from another chapel actually crossed the street, came to the limousine, and tried to come after me also. I guess they were buddies, worked together, friends, I don't know.
And that's what led to the charge of battery against you. You got the best of the fight, I assume.
Well, two people. One guy has a knife belt. What do you call them cases that you keep the utility knives and stuff in? I mean, the second guy, he reached for which appeared to me like he was going to try to do something to me. So I immediately tried to defend myself.
All right, Mr. Jervik. Jervik? Make sure you stick in the mic. There you go.
Mr. Kendall, how long have you known Craig and Cheryl Lowell?
Almost since they started working down at the courthouse. I would say almost 5 years now.
And during that time, you say you've worked for other wedding chapels other than a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir. That's including Chapel of Dreams, the first chapel I worked at.
Okay. Were the other chapels that you worked for in any way associated with the Lewells or owned by the Lewells?
To my knowledge, no.
How long would you consider yourself still an employee of the Llewells?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been an exclusive employee of the Llewells, that is not working for any other chapel but a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
In the whole 5 years, I would say exclusively for almost 3 years of that.
Okay.
And about 3 years.
So let's be clear about the street. You are an employee, not an independent contractor. Is that correct?
I am an employee.
Okay. So you receive a check from a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, I do.
If you don't mind telling us, how much do they pay you every year?
As a wedding coordinator, I made $10 an hour plus tips. As a limousine driver, it was all gratuity based. Now that I'm hand-billing downtown at the RJC, I just recently got a raise.
How long have you been hand-billing down at the Regional Justice Center?
For the last 2 months. I just came back to the business.
Were you in the business of hand-billing before you just came back 2 months ago?
No, I left the wedding business alone.
Left the wedding business altogether?
Completely.
Prior to your beginning hand-billing 2 months ago, did you ever have occasion to be at the Regional Justice Center on behalf of the Llewells or Las Vegas Garden of Love?
If I had a wedding couple or was taking care of chapel business, I would have reason to be down there.
So your only business would be as a planner or a limo driver, is that correct?
Or even, like I said, just hand-billing that day. We may be short a hand-biller. They may not show up for their shift. So being that I know how to hand-bill, I would substitute. I would do whatever needs to be done.
Would you describe the atmosphere at the Regional Justice Center between wedding chapels as competitive for customers?
Very competitive.
Are there occasions where there's competition for parking spaces for limousines and a competition for customers?
I would say not a competition for parking because there's ample parking. But, of course, everybody would like to have those rings blessed at their chapel.
Have you ever been present when there have been altercations between individuals soliciting or hand-billing on behalf of wedding chapels?
Some occasions.
How many would you describe in the last 5 years? Just rough estimate.
At least 3.
At least 3? Any involving a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
It would be mainly with the employees not getting along.
Okay. Have you ever observed employees of a Las Vegas Garden of Love not getting along with other employees from other wedding chapels?
No, sir.
Have you ever observed employees of a Las Vegas Garden of Love aggressively soliciting business from the courthouse steps of the Regional Justice Center?
Professionally, not aggressively.
Professionally, but not aggressively. How would you describe the difference?
Well, professional is when you focus 100% on the couple. Answering their questions, get them up there to see the wedding chapel, minding your business and not worrying about the competition around you because you're doing your job. That's what I would say professionally.
Are there occasions when more than one hand-biller or solicitor approaches a couple at a time on behalf of a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
No, sir.
So is it your testimony that only one individual at a time on behalf of a Las Vegas Garden of Love will approach a couple to see if they want to get married at your chapel?
One would speak. It would always be one representative. They may get approached by 2, but like I said, it's always one representative from the garden that will speak. Kind of like with the other chapels, it always be, everybody has multiple employees down there, but it's always one person that talks to the couple.
So one may be talking, one may be silent just with the brochures.
Yes, and a lot of times, believe it or not, we get a lot of Hispanic couples, so when I would approach a couple and they needed interpretation, I completely hop off of them because I don't know what they're talking about.
Are there ever times when Las Vegas Garden of Love will use more than 2 individuals?
No, like I said, we all salesmen. She hires the best.
You would consider the use of more than 2 individuals, even if one's talking and one's hand-billing, to be inappropriate or unprofessional?
If more than one person is speaking, like I said, I would say yes.
Have you ever been present when individuals were threatened if they did not do business with the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
That is inaccurate, not correct.
Did you sit through all the testimony last Wednesday afternoon before the city council?
Did I testify?
No, did you hear the testimony? Did you
Oh,
sit
yes,
through it?
sir. I was here.
Did you hear summaries of affidavits that were read into the record at the beginning of that hearing?
I did hear something about some affidavits.
Okay. Have you ever heard of incidents involving Las Vegas Garden of Love employees where brochures of competitors were lit on fire, or brochures were lit on fire and thrown at competitors' clothing?
I had to be gone when that incident happened. Like I said, I come back and forth in the business.
Have you ever heard of incidents where homeless people were paid money to hurl slanders or other vulgarities at individuals as a competitive practice?
No, sir.
How often do you see Cheryl Rule present at the courthouse when you're working at the Regional Justice Center?
In our earlier days, every day, because I was the first employee that she hired. It was every day in the earlier years.
Okay.
How many
hours a day would she spend at the Regional Justice Center?
It was 24 hours. I would always cut out before them, and I was doing 10 to 12 hours a day.
Okay. Was she there during the full 10 to 12 that you were there?
Yes, sir. The whole family. It's a family owned and operated business. It would be the mother. It would be everybody.
I'm just talking about Cheryl alone.
Yeah, she'd be there.
Was she there before you arrived?
Yes, sir.
Would she be there after you left?
Yes, sir.
So it would then be fair to state that she was there longer than 10 or 12 hours a day?
Yes, sir.
Every day?
She would even sleep in the shop instead of going home. When the courthouse was 24 hours.
And would that be during the busiest hours of business for the Wedding Chapel Bureau at the courthouse? Or the Marriage License Bureau?
Well, I didn't understand, sir.
If she picked 10 or 12 hours to be at the courthouse, would it be fair to say that she picked the busiest hours for wedding licenses to be at the courthouse?
I guess I'm going to say it varies, but weekends is always the busiest, and of course summer months.
Can you describe the injury? I'm sorry. You recall being asked a question by Mr. Stein a few moments ago regarding a battery incident to which you entered a plea and paid restitution?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe for this council the injuries to the victim in that particular battery?
I didn't know he was injured.
Were you aware he was injured before you entered your plea?
All I know is an ambulance came, and that's how you automatically get the felony charge. Because anytime an ambulance comes, that's what I said. But I don't know anything about his medical record or his condition. As a matter of fact, from my understanding, he was back on the job the next day, hand billing.
And you paid over $3,000 in restitution?
Yes, sir.
And it's your testimony that you're unaware of what injuries the individual sustained that justified the $3,000 in restitution.
Attorney said pay it, attorney said plead, that's what I did.
Did you tell your attorney what happened prior to his advising you to plead?
Yes, I did.
What did you tell him?
Tell him about the incident.
Did you tell him that you were responsible for the incident?
I didn't feel like I was responsible when I'm out there working and selling.
What did your attorney tell you?
That's inappropriate. I really believe that...
I think he's waived it, Your Honor.
Well, he may have waived it, but I don't think you should get into attorney-client conversations.
Oh, I'll back off of that.
No, basically he's testified that on his attorney's advice he entered his plea and he paid the restitution. I think that's sufficient.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sir, at this time of this battery charge, was you employed by a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, I was.
There was other instances that was affidavit that there was problems with your behavior?
The affidavits I heard about on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just and again, Mayor, I don't know whether these are appropriate type questions to ask now or whatever in this court proceeding here, but my concern is that under oath, Ms. Laurel said that she doesn't hire people. She does these background checks and stuff like this. When they have problems, she doesn't hire them. And here she has somebody that admitted to a battery for whatever reasons, and she hires him, and he leaves, and she hires him again. It's something that I have a hard time understanding.
Well, a lot of times, Councilman, that's when I would end up going to the other chapels, because she would do it. She would terminate.
All I'm saying is that she put on record that she doesn't hire people that have these type of problems.
All right. Let me ask you one more question about the. What was the name of your attorney?
I used Flanguses. I used Leo Flangus.
Let me go very briefly. No, I was just about. Did you indicate earlier that you worked on again, off again for the Lewells?
Yes, and in the way of business.
Have you been terminated by the Lewells before?
Yes.
And they've rehired you how many times?
I don't know. I didn't count. I say 2 or 3 times.
On the occasions where you were terminated, did they give you a reason for your termination?
I pretty much already know why.
Why?
Something I did wrong. Something against policy.
Would you tell the council what the allegation was by the Lewells against you for terminating you?
Sometimes it could be tardiness. That would be like the main reason. Because, the shift would have to be covered, and like I said, and she's relying on me, so when I can't be there, that's like, it's a pet peeve, you know what I'm saying? We're talking business. So that would be like the main reason, my tardiness.
So, were there any other reasons the Lewells terminated you other than tardiness?
That incident with I had to pay that restitution.
So they terminated you for the battery incident?
Yes.
And you were rehired after the battery incident?
No, I went to another chapel after the battery incident.
Okay. But nevertheless, you are working for them again right now as we speak, are you not?
In 2007, yes.
So you were rehired after you were terminated for the battery incident?
Yes.
When were you rehired?
I've just been back 2 months now in the business.
Did Ms. Lewell or anybody associated with the Garden of Love indicate to you that they had performed a background check on you prior to rehiring you?
I know that they did.
Were there any other incidents besides the battery incident that caused them any concern?
Besides my tardiness, I don't believe so.
No more questions this time, Your Honor.
Right, thank you, Mr. Stein.
Thank you, Mayor. You stated that you saw Cheryl working at the courthouse 10, 12, 15 hours, 20 hours a day.
That is correct.
During the early days.
Early years, yes, sir.
That would be like 2003, 2004?
When we were located on 200 West Sahara, yes, sir.
You haven't seen her there in the last couple of years at the courthouse that many hours, have you?
No, sir.
Now, I'd forget to ask one thing on my direct. Did you file a TPO against Mr. Everts?
Yes, sir, I did.
What year did you file that TPO?
I had the event number. It was done back in 03, October and November of 2003.
And why did you file a TPO against him?
For the harassment and basically just the insult.
Nothing further.
All right, all right, you're excused, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Your Honor, I had 2 witnesses scheduled. I'm only going to call one.
Do what you have to do.
Okay, I'll call them both then. The next witness will be Jesse Daniels.
I'll swear Mr. Daniels in, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you state your name and your work address for the council, please?
Jesse Darnell Daniels, 1431 Las Vegas Garden of Love, South Las Vegas Boulevard.
How long have you been employed there, sir?
Off and on 2.5, 3 years.
And in what capacity?
Photographer, videographer, maintenance of the limos, office work. I'm very well, reminded of what goes on every day. So.
Now, sir, you stated that you had something you wanted to say which you felt was relevant to this proceeding through the council.
Yes, sir. First and foremost.
Well, no, I'm not interested in this. Ask him questions, Mr. Stein. This is not time for polemics and oration. If you have questions you want to ask him.
I have no questions.
Well, this is not.
That he made.
No, I'm not interested. Thank you. Have a seat, sir, please. Well, he didn't answer any questions. I'm going to limit you to. He said he worked there off and on. Do you want to ask some questions about that? Off and on?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Come on up, sir.
This won't take long, Your Honor.
Come on up. I don't care how long it takes, as long as it's relevant.
I can call him as my witness as well.
Well, as I said to Mr. Stein, do what you have to do. Mr. Turbic, you do what you have to do, but let's do it.
Could you please tell me your last name again?
Daniels, Daniels.
Mr. Daniels, you're currently working for a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
And you were here last Wednesday during the hearing, is that correct?
Was it Wednesday? Yes, sir.
You were here in the council chambers when the hearing began, and you were here outside in the courtyard when they were during the recess?
Yes, off and on, back and forth.
Last week you were wearing a brown sweater with stripes, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know an individual by the name of Michael Joseph?
Who?
Michael Joseph?
No, I don't.
Or Mark Joseph?
No, I don't.
Can you please turn around and look at the row of people sitting directly behind me? There's an individual sitting 3 from the left wearing a dark shirt, white mustache, dark hair. Do you know him?
Big guy right here?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Have you ever seen him before?
I can't remember his face.
Did you walk up to him in the courtyard during a recess during last week's hearing and tell him not to testify?
That's not only ludicrous, and that's an attempt to assassinate my character and belittle the character of this committee. Why would I approach this individual, look at his side, look at my side?
Is that a no?
That's a no.
Definitely
That's a no.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
All right, have a seat, sir. Thank you. All right, next, please.
Mr. Tory Manville.
All right, swear the witness in, please.
Yes.
Can you state your name and your working address for the council, please?
Tory Robin Manvilla, A. Las Vegas Garden of Love.
What's that address?
1431 Las Vegas Boulevard, South.
Well, Mr. Manvilla,
Yes, sir.
are you the uncle of Cheryl Llewellyn?
Yes, I am.
All right. It's been brought to my attention, Mr. Manvilla, that you have a trial scheduled in municipal court on December the 12th of this year. I'm going to advise you that you don't have to testify if you feel that testimony might tend to incriminate you during that trial.
Mr. Mayor, I am his attorney.
Well, then there could be a terrible conflict of interest. I mean, with all due respect.
It won't have anything to do with the trial.
All right.
Mr. Manville.
Yes, sir.
Are you the uncle of Cheryl Llewellyn?
Yes, I am.
So you've known her basically all of her life?
Correct.
Prior to living here in Las Vegas, where were you residing?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
While you were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, sir, did you have some legal problems?
Yes, I did.
And following those legal problems, were you placed on probation?
Yes, sir.
And when you came here to Las Vegas, when did you come here to Las Vegas?
I believe it was November 11th, or it was after my birthday, about November 17th of 03.
And when you came here, did you have a falling out with your niece?
And when I first got here, I took off. In other words, what do you call that? Scandal?
You skipped
Yeah, I
on
skipped.
probation?
Yes, I did.
In Wisconsin?
Correct. And about a year later, we got. About a year later, I'm sorry, sir.
You go back to Wisconsin to face the probation violation?
Yes, I did. I turned myself in.
And were you then placed back on probation?
I stayed the whole thing, so I didn't have no background anymore. So I stayed the whole time. I'm clear of everything now.
And then did you come back to Las Vegas?
Yes, I did.
During this, and I'd like to wait for Councilman Reese.
You can hear back there.
You can hear back there?
Yep.
Oh. I did not know.
Yes.
Wonders of technology. During the period of time that you were in, when you came back to Las Vegas, did you have a falling out with your niece?
Yes, I did.
You were attempting to get employment here with your niece?
Yes, I did. I asked, and I tried to get a hold of her, and I couldn't get a hold of her. So I went down to the courthouse, which is over here on 3rd Street here, and I was talking to a couple of hand billers about me being a hand biller for another chapel. And a man approached me, which his name was Cliff Everett of Vegas Chapel. And he asked me, did you need employment? And I said, yes. And he says, are you the uncle of Cheryl Llewell? And I said, yes, I am. He said, well, what are you looking to do? I said, well, I'd like to have a job because I'm running out of money and I need a place to stay. He said, well, if you come and work for me, I'll hook you up over at El Cortez for 7 days and give you $500, but you have to do something for me. And I said, well, what was that? He said, I had to go to the police department and schedule a thing saying, my nieces were harassing me and stuff like that, and restraining order. But before I got the $500, I had to do all that. The following day, he gave me the night over at the El Cortez for 7 days. It was one of his friends that did it. Gave me accommodations for the El Cortez to stay. And then the following day, because I said I don't know if I was going to do it, the following day, he came back at me and he said, well, we have to go to court and all that stuff, or not the court, I'm mumbling, sorry. Go to the police department and file harassment charges. And over to, I'm getting nervous.
Pickles and Bonanza?
Yes. Well, when I did that, we went over back to the El Cortez. He says, here's your $500 for doing all that for me. And then he also said, hey, what else do you do? I heard that you do drugs. And I said, yeah, I do crack. And he goes, oh, okay. So he got on the phone with somebody, and about an hour and a half later.
I got to say this. You already admitted to us that you committed a crime by filing a false report.
Yes, I did.
Okay? I got to stop you. This is really, I got to protect your rights here because you're going to get yourself in so much trouble. Milwaukee may be a cakewalk by the time you're through in Las Vegas.
Just being honest.
And I don't question your honesty. That makes it worse.
Mr. Mayor, I have advised him.
All right, you go, Mr. Stein. He's your client.
He wishes to testify to the truth of what occurred.
Go ahead. I'm just saying that
the body gets a full picture.
I appreciate that, but we have a city attorney over there. We got a city attorney over there. We got little district attorneys with their ears up, and keep going.
Well, anyways, a man came knocking on the hotel door, and he presented me some crack.
Did he tell you where the crack came from?
Yeah, Cliff Everett.
Now, Mr. Manville, are you saying that Mr. Everett gave you $500 and a room at the hotel and arranged to have some drugs delivered to you in return for what you did for him?
Correct.
And what is it that you did for him?
Restraining order and a police report.
Restraining order against who?
Cheryl Llewell.
And what else?
And Craig Llewell. And police report against Craig Llewell and Cheryl Llewell.
Were the statements that you made in those documents against Craig and Cheryl Llewell true?
No, it was false.
And why did you do it?
Well, he obviously he did it because he wanted a hotel room. He wanted $500, and he got the bonus of crack cocaine. Okay, that's why he did it.
And I guess because
I've heard enough. I've heard enough.
Angry at him.
Okay.
Since that time, sir.
Yeah.
Have you stopped using
Yes, I have. Yes.
Have you stopped using drugs?
Yes.
Are you now clean?
Yes, sir.
Have you remained clean for some period of time?
About 7 months.
I have no further questions.
Have you stopped filing false reports?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I also went to the
All right.
court for that.
Mr. Gerber, you have any questions? No? Okay, I don't blame you.
All right.
All right, you're excused. Well, you can go over if you want. Sign.
No further witness.
All right, fine.
However, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
5 to 3.
I understand, Mr. Jervik. How long are you going to be?
I'm estimating about 5 or 6 witnesses. I probably won't have more than 5 or 10 minutes apiece at the most.
There's no guarantee he's going to come back at 4:30, but not with doctors.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, my
Yes.
arrival time is scheduled for 3:30.
Right.
Check in and go through the paperwork. I anticipate 3:45 to 4, 10 to 4. The procedure itself is only 20 minutes. I could be back here by 4:30, 4 to 5.
What time does the Colts
5:30.
the Colts start? I got my priorities in order too.
5:30.
All right. What's the what do you think?
Speculate to some of the witnesses. I don't know who they are.
Do you have any? Do you have any feeling, Councilwoman, or as far as continuing? 6:30. All right. Councilman Barlow, you have any feeling?
Mayor, I'm here, so
Okay.
whatever we need to do,
All right, Councilman Brown, do you have any feeling about this? All right, then we'll be in recess till 4:30.
Your Honor, before you recess, I just got one question. Mr. Jerby, are we going to be able to hear from Mr. Everett on this last accusation?
Mr. Everett, are you here? I thought I saw you back here. He's going to be called.
You're calling?
I'm going to call him.
Thank you.
All right, we're in recess till 4:30.
I thought you'd be anxious to get up here.
Yes, sir.
We're in recess till 4:30.
Okay, can I, before anybody leaves, if I can just ask a few people to stick around because I'd like to talk to you during the course of the recess.
Well, I understand that, but to put this over to 4:30, this guy's not going to be back here till 5 o'clock, guaranteed.
Officer Jasper? Glasper, I'm sorry.
Can I leave these materials here?
Reverend Smith? He's here. He's about to come.
Put them down here.
And you're hold on one moment.
Good luck. Not the best.
You have my death No. Where's keeping it? Already to it.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in session. Mr. Jervik.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Everts? Everts, I'm sorry.
Madam Clerk, will you swear him in, please? Fine, if you're sworn in, the oath still is in effect. That's fine.
Mr. Everts, I apologize for mispronouncing.
Oh.
I apologize for mispronouncing your last name. Were you here a moment ago when an individual named Troy Manvilla testified?
I was,
Do you know Mr. Manvilla?
by sight, and I talked to him once.
Okay. Can you describe for the council the occasion where you met Mr. Manvilla and talked to him?
Yes. Just, it was about a year ago, year and a half maybe, I was in my office. One of the people working for me came and said there was some guy in the front who wanted to talk to me. I said, well, who is it? And he says it's somebody from Garden of Love. And I said, I don't want to talk to him because I don't want anything to do with him. He said, no, he really wants to talk. So I go out and this guy introduces himself as, I think he introduced himself as Robert Manvilla. I don't think he's named Torrey, doesn't sound right. But anyways, a Manvilla, and claimed that he was mad at his family. They were trying to get him. They had stolen $90,000 from him, and that he was looking for a job. And I said, well, I don't want anything to do with anybody from Garden of Love, but tell me your story. So then he launched into his story about how the money was stolen from him, how they're trying to steal his kids, how they were mistreating him. And while we were talking, the mom, I think her name is Barbara, walks in front of my door and stands there, kind of does a stare down. Cheryl Llewell does the same thing, walks directly in front of the office. And so I moved to the back so they can't see us. And he goes on and tells this story of all the wrong that they've done. And then he wants to get it back at his children. So he says, you know, I need to get out to Child Protective Custody, and I give him a ride out there. While he's filing a complaint with Child Protective Custody, which I never saw, Cheryl Well walked in the room. He was filing this complaint. Apparently he followed us out. And she again did a stare down. Then he said he didn't have a place to stay, and so I had a friend, Gino, who does lubes and oil here across the street. He has a friend at El Cortez, and I asked Gino if he could get him a room. And Gino got him a room. Manvilla was supposed to show up the next day. Never saw him again until I saw him out working hand building, soliciting for Garden Love. Next time I saw him. I've seen him out there ever since, actually.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Did he leave you with any paperwork or documentation memorializing his visit to you?
He brought in a copy of a paper from a Wisconsin paper that showed his family bragging about what a great wedding chapel they were in Vegas. And I have a copy of that, but that's all he brought in.
You got that with you today?
I do, but I didn't bring it up.
Okay. Can you retrieve it real quickly? After I introduce this exhibit, I have no further questions with this witness, Your Honor.
All right, fine. Any cross-examination, Mr. Stein?
I just have one quick question.
Certainly, Councilor Barlow.
Yes. Where is your office in relation to a Garden of Love?
My office is directly across the street from the RJC. I have actually I have a chapel.
No, where is your office in relation to the Garden of Love?
My office is directly across from the RJC. Their chapel is down off of Oakey and Las Vegas Boulevard, so a long way.
Okay, so you're saying that's okay. That's what I need to know. That's fine.
Did you ever give Mr. Manvilla any illegal substance?
No.
Did you ever give him $500?
No.
Very good. Mr. Stein.
Your Honor, if I could, before we release the witness, Mr. Stein, I'd like to have this marked as the next exhibit. And is the exhibit I'm giving to the clerk a photocopy of a document given to you by Mr. Manvilla when you met him?
When he came in my office, right. It's a photocopy of a newspaper. He said that was his only one. Didn't want to give it up, so he allowed me to photocopy that.
Okay. If you give me one moment, I need to show it to Mr. Stein. Do you recognize the individuals depicted in that photograph?
Well, they're identified at the bottom. I didn't actually recognize the guy who came to my office. He's apparently the guy dressed up as Elvis. I didn't recognize him. I did recognize Craig Llewell.
You know, if I could, what are we looking at here?
I'm going to pass this up to the council just a moment. Perhaps we can go to the overhead. There you go. If you can zoom in on the photograph, I'll try and get it a little bit more centered. There we go. Okay, I'm going to point. Do you recognize the individual to whom I'm pointing at this moment?
I don't recognize that. The indication indicates that's Rob Mandela.
Is that the individual
He claimed
as Tory Mandela here today?
He claimed that that was the same individual, correct.
And the individual I'm pointing to now?
That is Craig Llewell.
And do you recognize any of the other three individuals in the photograph?
I had seen photographs, but I wouldn't have been able to identify them without the caption.
For the record, Your Honor, this exhibit speaks for itself. It appears to be a newspaper article. Underneath the article, it says ABC Family, and it's talked about how many families can say love is their business, their only business. The Ludwig Mandela clan of Las Vegas, formerly the Milwaukee area, once a Las Vegas Garden of Love. The group includes from left, Chuck Ludwig, Johnny Mandela, Craig Llewell, Rob Mandela, and Icy Mandela, the child up front. But Rob Mandela is the individual at the side.
All right. You have any questions, Mr. Stein?
Yes, sir, just a couple.
Nothing.
Mr. Everett, you stated you saw him only one time prior to watching him handle.
I said I'd seen him, but I only met him that one time.
And that day was the day he came into your office?
Yes.
What was the day, it was the next day that you went down to Bonanza and Pecos with him, isn't it?
Correct.
So you saw him 2 days?
That's correct. I actually... No, that is not correct. I took him out there the same day. He was going to come back the next day, but he never showed up. So I only did see him on that. I only talked to him that one time.
He handled for you for a couple of nights, didn't he?
Absolutely not.
You don't recall him ever
He
handling?
never worked for me.
Nothing further?
All right.
I do, Your Honor.
Yes.
I hate to belabor this. Mr. Gilbert, what is this supposed to tell us?
It's just evidence that Mr. Everts received from Mr. Mandela when he came in. It also shows that Mr. Mandela is part of the same family as Craig Llewell, whose license is under discussion today.
Okay, that's it? All right, next witness, please.
Larry Threadgill.
You want to swear the witness in, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Larry Charles Threadgill. That's Threadgill.
And Mr. Threadgill, by whom are you employed?
A Special Memory Wedding Chapel.
Is that a competitor of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working for a Special Memory Wedding Chapel?
Approximately a year and a month.
And by whom were you employed prior to being employed with a Special Memory Wedding Chapel?
I was employed by Heavenly Bliss prior to Special Memory.
Have you ever been employed by a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
And during what period of time were you employed by a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Around midsummer 2004 to approximately October, November 2006.
Are you familiar with Cheryl and Craig Llewell?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear their testimony before this council both on Wednesday and today?
Yes, sir.
During the time that you worked for the Llewells at Las Vegas Garden of Love, did you become familiar with their business practices?
Yes, sir.
What was your position with Las Vegas Garden of Love when you worked for them?
I started out as a handler. Then I moved into the chapel, shot photography, videography, answered phones, booked weddings, a couple of bouquets here and there, and I worked in the testing gown room also.
Very good. But during the time that you were a hand biller, did you ever receive instructions from anybody at Las Vegas Garden of Love as to how to conduct the hand billing?
Yes, sir.
From whom did you receive those instructions?
From Cheryl Llewell.
What did Ms. Llewell instruct you with respect to hand billing on behalf of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Excuse me. To be aggressive, to not let any of the competitors get any couples, and if it looked like we were going to lose a couple, we were we were encouraged to do whatever we had to do to scare the couple away, either to the Justice of Peace or wherever they had to go.
Did Ms. Llewell give, or anybody else at Las Vegas Garden of Love, give any other handbillers similar instructions to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
How many other handbillers?
All of the other handlers.
Did you utilize the tactics that were recommended by Ms. Llewell?
Yes, I did.
Did you threaten customers?
Yes, I did.
Did
Customers? No.
Okay. Did you threaten other wedding chapel solicitors?
Yes, I did.
What tactics did you use?
Verbal threats, not. I even and on one occasion I actually spat on someone.
Was Ms. Llewell present during the time you used any of these tactics to threaten or intimidate other wedding chapel representatives?
I'm sorry.
Was Ms. Llewell present during the time that you utilized any of these tactics?
Yes.
Can you describe what her reaction was when you utilized these tactics?
Her reaction was more or less, she was proud of me.
Did you see her witness others that were soliciting or handbilling on behalf of the Las Vegas Garden of Love use similar tactics?
Yes, sir.
What was her reaction when she would use those tactics, when they would use those tactics?
Could I just give you an example?
Please.
One of my coworkers, she was also working for Garden of Love, and she got up in the owners of another competing chapel. She got up in their face, and part of my friends called her a bitch. That young lady, the owner of the chapel, she called Cheryl Llewell and told her what her work was, what Garden of Love had done to her, and called her, and Cheryl then called up that worker and told her how proud she was of her and that she should give her a raise.
Have you ever seen Cheryl or Craig Llewell use the tactics that they recommended to their solicitors themselves against their competitors?
Most definitely.
What types of activity did you see them engage in?
Verbal threats. I've witnessed Cheryl push ex-co-worker of mine. She actually, I don't know how she did it. Everybody in front of the courthouse was wondering how she leaped over those bushes the way she did and grabbed the ex-worker of mine. And I've also seen physical altercations by both of them.
Given the course of business day, how many hours would you normally see Cheryl Llewell down at the Regional Justice Center or about the Regional Justice Center?
Well, since all of this has been going on, they've been down on the block a lot. But prior to that, occasionally they'll be on the block. More, not so often than so.
When you say since all of this has been going on, what do you mean?
Since the council hearing and such.
Since the council hearing began, you've seen the Llewells down on the street at the Regional Justice Center more or less?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Have you seen them interacting with individuals that handbill or solicit on their behalf?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen them interacting with individuals that solicit or handbill on behalf of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes.
What kind of interaction do you see?
More or less just talking about, wait until we get our license back and what we're going to do when we hit the block again and they can't take us down. Just mainly talking about the case and ridiculing me and anybody else that they feel is going to testify against them, but nothing really too bad.
Have you seen any more harassment or threats or anything since this hearing began last Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
What types of harassment and threats have you seen?
On Sunday afternoon, 12 o'clock exactly, I was on there with the female co-worker of mine, and Tori Manzella. He said, in his exact words, talking about my female co-worker, he said, "That bitch thinks she's safe. I'm not through with her yet. You'll wait until she sees. You'll wait and see."
Is Tori Manzella the individual that testified at the end of Mr. Stein's case a few moments ago?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, does he still work for a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
What other incidents have you seen since this hearing began last week?
That was the only incident that I've seen since the hearing began.
Turning your attention to December of 2006, were you aware of an incident involving an individual by the name of Tim Redeker?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe for the council, was that incident involve a battery against Mr. Redeker?
Can I describe it?
Yes, can you please describe it for the council?
Because I wasn't there, I've only heard
Well, Jeff,
what happened.
this is cumulative as well.
I have no further questions of this witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Stein?
Mr. Redville,
Yes, sir.
you were fired in October 2006 from the Las Vegas Garden.
You have to use the mic, Mr. Stein, please.
In October 2006, approximately, you were terminated from Las Vegas Garden of Love, correct?
Incorrect.
Did you quit?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't that about the time that you were sentenced to jail for a domestic battery on your pregnant wife?
No, sir.
Were you sentenced to jail for beating up your wife?
Yes, sir.
And when were you charged with that crime?
No, you're right. It's not relevant unless it's a felony.
Credibility.
No, there's no, if it's a misdemeanor, there's no rule about credibility with misdemeanors, only with felonies.
I don't know what the conviction was. I know he was
Ask him whether he's been convicted of a felony.
murder.
Why don't you ask him whether or not he was convicted of a felony?
What were you convicted of regarding this incident?
Battery, domestic violence.
Domestic violence, that's a misdemeanor, isn't it?
The last thing the direct question should be, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
All right.
Sir.
He says
When
no.
were you terminated from employment of Blue Well?
I was never terminated, as I said in the beginning. I quit.
When did you quit?
I'm not going to try to guess the date. I can't remember exactly when it was. I'm not
Proximity to the allegations of the crime, was it close in time?
Could you rephrase the question?
Time proximity between your quitting and your crime being charged. Was it close?
Oh, no, that was like, probably about a year after.
A year after the crime you quit?
Yes, sir.
So you remained working
No,
there
I
for
did
1
not-
year?
I did not quit. Matter of fact, I did quit, yes.
Well, you did quit or you didn't quit? Which is it?
Oh, no, I quit. I just misunderstood the question.
Did you play a role in a DVD video at the RJC saying something about the threats at the RJC by handbellers? Were you part of that video?
Of a video?
Mm-hmm. A DVD video, somebody filming you. Did you give a statement on a video concerning the handbellers at the RJC?
Not that I can recall.
Did you state on that the only threats that you knew of were from stained glass chapel people?
Never. I get along with all of them.
If I play that video for you, would it refresh your recollection, sir?
I'm sure it would.
Okay. We'll get the video and do it in Sir rebuttal again. If the council will allow. Nothing further. But I reserve the right to recall if you allow me to play the video.
Thank you. All right. Next witness, please. Yes.
May I please ask this witness a couple of questions?
Wait a minute.
Certainly.
Sir, I just have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What brought you here today? Were you under a subpoena?
No, sir.
So did somebody ask you to come and testify today?
No, sir.
Were you here last Wednesday for our hearing on this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What brought you to that hearing last Wednesday?
I actually wanted to see how everything was going to play out, and I wanted to be here, considering the fact that I know a lot about what's going on. And if there was any way I could have helped, then I'm available.
How did you come into contact with Mr. Jerbick for your testimony today?
Actually, I spoke with one of the city licensing bureau, workers that I'm familiar with that arrested me for doing my job for the Llewells. And he asked if I would write a statement. So I told him yes.
Was this after the hearing on Wednesday?
That was prior to the hearing on Wednesday.
But did you approach that person from business license, or did he approach you, he or she?
He actually approached a coworker of mine. It was one of my off days. So that coworker called me up, and that's how I felt about it. I said, sure, I do it.
So you didn't necessarily plan to get involved, but because you were here and somebody approached a coworker, here you are today.
I planned on getting involved only as far as writing a statement.
Okay.
I didn't know that it would go this far.
Next, when you worked as a hand biller, did you work as a hand biller for a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes.
And you worked for them for over 2 years, right? About 2.5 years.
Yes.
How much of that time did you work as a hand biller?
Out of about close to 2.5 years, about 2 years, maybe.
Okay, the majority of the time.
Great.
And a hand biller is a person that has a brochure or paperwork about the Garden of Love, and you would approach people that were coming to the RJC to get married and offer them information about a Las Vegas Garden of Love. Is that right?
That's correct.
How were you paid for those a couple of years as a hand biller by a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
I was paid cash daily.
Okay. Were you paid an hourly rate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you worked 6 hours, you'd get 6 times the hourly rate.
That's correct.
Okay. You were paid cash.
Yes, sir. All of the workers are paid cash.
Were you considered an employee or an independent contractor? How did you consider yourself?
I consider myself an employee.
Okay. Finally, were you paid any other monies besides the daily amount as a hand biller?
No.
Was there any incentive that was provided to you to get that customer coming out of the RJC, the couple that just got their license to wed, and they wanted to find a chapel, they wanted to get married in Las Vegas? Other than your hourly rate, were you given any other incentives, financial incentives?
None whatsoever.
No bonuses or anything like that?
No bonuses whatsoever. No incentives.
Why are the hand billers in general in this industry then so aggressive? If most of the hand billers are paid hourly rates or daily rates, why is there such a need to be so aggressive if whether you cause 2 people that day or 20 people that day to end up at this chapel or that chapel, why is there such aggression?
I agree with you.
You agree with the point I'm making?
I agree with the point you're making.
You want to explain it to all of us watching, please.
The fact is that when Garden of Love is not on the block, it's quiet. The reputation that we have as being aggressive people, you'll never see that. That's not the type of behavior you see from all the other chapels. I had one coworker, yes, he was quite aggressive, very aggressive, and we used to try to calm him down, but there's no talking to him. But as far as what you're asking me, it's like that because it's competitive being one thing, but at Garden Love, that's how they train you. They train you to be that way. Because most of the time, I mean, not most, but every time there's a problem in front of the Regional Justice Center, it's always Garden of Love versus this chapel. Next week it'll be Garden of Love versus that chapel, but no 2 chapels downtown in front of the RJC feud with each other. We all get along, only enemy, and I hate to say this, Garden of Love. And it's not because we don't like them on a personal level, but it's because of, because of the way they are.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Just you, sir.
Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Tim Redeker. Tim Redeker? Sorry. Please state your full name for the record. I'm sorry. Please state your full name for the record and spell your last name.
Timothy Lee Redeker, Rediker.
And Mr. Redeker, by whom are you employed?
Eileen.
Use the mic, please.
I'm sorry. Eileen. Tux and gown.
Turning your attention to, I believe it was 2006, did you have an altercation that involved Craig Ruel and individuals from the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember the approximate date and location of that incident?
The 11th, 10/11/06, right in front of the courthouse on the corner of Clark and 3rd.
And on that date, by whom were you employed?
Special memory.
And what is special memory?
Wedding Chapel.
Is that a competitor, so to speak, of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
And do you know Craig Ruel?
Yes, I do.
Do you know Chris Kendall?
Yes, I do.
Were they both present at the time of this incident?
Yes, sir. There's documentation on police records on that, yes.
Please describe for the council what happened on that day.
I was being continually taunted
by the Garden of Love. We try to keep it peaceful down there on our end. And Troy Manvilla, or Rob Manvilla, was making gestures, what have you, bumping into me, and basically bumped into me one too many times. I turned, pushed him away from me, told him to leave me alone, and next thing you know, I'm getting hit by him and jumped by 4 other Garden of Love employees. I grabbed Troy and pulled him in because I was thrown off balance because I was attacked from the back, and we all went to the ground. At that point in time, I was pretty much fighting for my life. You got 5 guys on top of you at the time. One of them, Craig Llewell, when I was down on the ground and I reached, we got towards the street side, Craig Llewell came around the street side and kicked me in the head, which I have some pictures of that.
I'm having some photographs marked at this time, Your Honor. Did you bring those photographs to the council meeting today?
Yes, sir, I did.
Those photographs accurately depict the injuries that you sustained at the time of the beating you just described?
Yes, sir, amongst a lot of sore muscles in the back.
Can you please describe anything that Craig Llewell said during the course of this incident?
Well, there's always been threats from him. Ever since I got on the block back about a year ago, I was doing really good business there on the corner, and threatened many times to stop because we were doing really well down there.
Prior to the date of the battery, were you threatened by Mr. Llewell personally?
Yes, many times.
What types of threats have Mr. Llewell used toward you?
Physical threats, watch your back, we know where you live. I've even heard, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of talk down the corner, where Cheryl allegedly told somebody where I lived and to go to my house and to physically do harm to me. Now, I don't have anything to establish that, but those are the type of things that I would hear on a regular basis.
Did you ever hear Cheryl Llewell make any threats toward you or anybody associated with you?
Yes, sure. Yes, I did. It was, like you guys know, it's very competitive down there. And for me showing up, I was a new kid on the block. I held myself very professional, different than other chapels. The first day I was there, I was threatened. I got 5 weddings the first day. They want to know where I was from, who I was, and basically I wouldn't last, and they would make sure of it that I wouldn't last.
Did you witness the Llewells, either Craig or Cheryl, make threats toward any other individuals involved in soliciting on behalf of competitive wedding chapels?
Yes, sir. It was a constant thing. It was really discouraging because the wedding business here in Las Vegas...
Well, please, that's not responsive. The question was whether you heard the Llewells threaten anybody else. The answer is yes or no, and you could say who, when, where.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were they the same type of threats that you just described that were directed toward you in your chapel?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever know or see the Llewells hire individuals off the street to harass individuals associated with rival wedding chapels?
I don't understand the question.
Have you ever known the Llewells to hire anyone, a homeless person or anything like that, to harass individuals associated with other wedding chapels?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you ever witnessed any other acts of violence other than one that you described that occurred to you as a result of employees working for a Garden of Love?
Yes, I have.
What types of acts of violence have you witnessed?
Requests to take people back in the alleys and fight.
Have you witnessed any of those fights?
Yes, I did.
Have you witnessed fights between employees of the Las Vegas Garden of Love and other wedding chapels?
Yes, sir.
Who were those fights initiated by?
The Garden of Love.
Do you know the names of any of the individuals who acted on behalf of Garden of Love who were involved in those fights?
I believe they're no longer working there anymore. I believe his name is Carlos, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. He is Spanish, though. Spanish gentleman.
Turning your attention back to the incident, the battery incident that you described earlier, did you file charges as a result of that incident?
Yes.
What happened?
Basically, we all went to court because it was basically I was filing a restraining order. They were filing a restraining order, back and forth, he said, she said. And as a business, we agreed on both ends to write up a document to agree upon. We would leave each other alone and stay away from each other.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any cross-examination?
Briefly, Your Honor. You pled guilty to a battery based on this incident, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
In front of which judge, do you recall?
No, I do not.
Do you know of your own knowledge whether or not Mr. Manvilla has pled guilty?
No, sir.
Do you know of your own knowledge whether Mr. Lowell has pled guilty?
No, sir.
Now, you stated a couple of minutes ago that you were doing business on the corner, and you're doing very well. You were a handbiller, correct?
That's correct.
The only business you're allowed to do is to hand out brochures, correct?
That's correct.
How did you get 5 weddings if all you could do was hand out brochures and you couldn't solicit? You cannot solicit, can you?
No.
And you know that.
Yes.
But you right here, you got 5 weddings.
Sure.
By handing out brochures.
Yes, sir.
Did you know a guy by the name of Ernesto? Did he work with you?
Yes, he did for a short time.
Do you recall the time that you and Ernesto pushed Cheryl Lowell into the bushes in front of the RJC?
Never. No.
Didn't happen.
No.
All right, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Rechovic?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very good. You excuse, sir.
I would like to put the photographs on the overhead.
Well, we've seen them.
Fair enough.
We've seen them. Next witness.
Ashley Silver, please.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
My first name is Ashley. My last name is Silver, like gold.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. And by whom are you employed?
I used to work for Clip, and I made a career move to Bell Transportation. And actually, I'm here also as a liaison for the United Steelworkers.
Oh, come on. Mr. Jerry,
Okay.
please. Have him answer the questions, okay?
No,
have you talked to the gentleman?
I was in a bad car wreck.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Are you suffering from some disability that will preclude you from telling the truth?
No.
All right, then listen to the questions and give the answers.
Okay.
Turn your attention to May of 2004. Were you involved in an incident involving Chris Tyndall?
Yes.
Can you describe that incident for the council, please?
Yes. We were outside the courthouse, and a couple party of 4 came up to where Chris and I were standing, and they asked directions to the county commissioners. They wanted to go get married, which was almost across the street. And I told them it's across the street from my wedding chapel, and I handed them a brochure. Chris was trying to get them to get in his vehicle, and he got upset that when I told him that our rates were the same as the commissioners for a wedding, $45. And as a handler at that time, I got a minimum wage and $5 per wedding as an incentive. That was the incentive. And I was driving a limousine at the same time for them. But as I was saying this, Chris Tyndall started belly bucking me, and then from belly bucking me, he headbutted me, and I got a picture of a cut across my head. And then Jeff Dukes came running over to defend me, and Chris took him and threw him down on the grass, started kicking him in the head on the courthouse lawn. This is the old courthouse. I got on my cell phone, which I have a picture of. I have a record of what time I was calling the police department to report it. Chris sees me on the phone, jumps up from hitting Jeff Dukes, come over and blindsides me, knocking the phone out of my hand. But it kept the record of the phone call. And
And then he, I guess he was scared and jumped in his Cheryl Llewell's Cadillac. He was an acting driver for her and took off. And I waited till the police got there, and then I went, Jeff, I think we both went in the ambulance. Jeff was in bad shape. He kicked him pretty bad. And as far as, I heard the fact that I inserted the N-word about this black man, I don't do that. That is out of my character to call anybody the N-word or what race they are is entirely.
Stopping right there, Mr. Silver. Stopping right there. So charges filed as a result of this incident?
Yes, and
what happened as a result of the charges being filed?
He was found. He plea bargained. It was dropped from a felony battery to misdemeanor assault.
When you say
and
he plea bargained, stopping right there. When you say he plea bargained, are you referring to Chris Kindle?
Yes, Chris Kindle.
And as a result of the plea bargain, what did Mr. Kindle agree to plead guilty to or plead to, period? What was the plea arrangement?
I believe he was on probation, and he was told to stay away from me, which I made notes he didn't do that. He was still working for them, and a couple times I almost got hit in a crosswalk by him driving his limo by my wedding chapel. He did leave the work from them for maybe a year or so afterwards. And because I heard him testify that he did leave right after, and that's not true.
Stopping right there, Mr. Silver.
Yeah.
Was restitution ordered as part of the arrangement that Mr. Kindle made with the court?
3,000 something.
Did you bring a copy of just one of the restitution checks that was made to you?
I framed the first check because to me it was a victory.
Stopping right there, Mr. Silver. Showing you what's marked as Exhibit 7, is that a photocopy of one of the checks that you received as a result of restitution from Mr. Kindle?
I'm proud that I won from the. I don't enjoy.
Please. Thank you very much. I don't have any further questions.
Fine, Mr. Stein.
Thank you, Your Honor. You're referring to working for Cliff, you said, in May of 2004?
Yes, I have that all here.
At that time you received the salary, minimum wage, and bonuses?
And $5 per wedding, yes. I thought everybody did.
Were you a solicitor, sir?
No, actually.
You were a hand builder?
A hand builder and a limousine driver. Somebody came by the limousine.
Wait. Please answer the questions. Just answer the questions.
You were not a solicitor?
No, a hand builder.
And you got $5 a couple for hand billing?
Yes.
Every couple you gave a hand bill to, you got $5?
No.
Everybody who you got to...
Wait. One at a time.
Everybody who you got to come in for a wedding, you got $5.
I initialed the brochure. If they brought the brochure in to get married, then I would get credit for it.
And you talked to them about it, too, didn't you, after you handed it?
If they had a question about it, they would have to approach me. But it's illegal to solicit.
Are you from the state of Oregon originally?
I have lived in Oregon, and I know what you're leading up to.
Well, wait a second. Just answer the question.
Yes, I have lived in Oregon, yes.
Have you been there recently?
Yes, I have.
Were you sent there on a fugitive warrant, sir?
There was a matter of misinterpretation of facts, and I had to go to court on I pleaded guilty to trespassing.
But you were sent there on a felony fugitive warrant?
Which was incorrect, yes.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm giving this kind of a lot of latitude here, and I know that we're not playing by rules of evidence, although sometimes it seems we are, and sometimes it seems we're not.
Well, I'd like to do it all the time, but under the Administrative Procedure Act, I'm not permitted to.
Well, all I can say is I don't really care which way it is, but if we're going to talk about any criminal history, including arrests, including misdemeanors, that's fine. Then I'd like the same with the other witnesses. I've been playing by the rule that unless you've been convicted of a felony, then I'm not bringing it up either.
All right, that's fair. Okay. That's fair, Mr. Chairman.
I asked whether you went to Oregon.
All right, it's irrelevant at this point.
How many times have you called Cheryl Llewell a bitch?
Never. That is, I have great respect for women.
All right, wait a second. Your answer is never.
Never, yes.
You recall pushing Cheryl at the old courthouse, at the RJC.
I find that funny, and I'll say...
Answer yes or no, please, because I'm going to make you sit down unless you can answer the question.
Okay, all right.
Is that it? Okay. Have a seat.
Cyril Bolorella, please.
for me?
Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Sierra Ray Valderrama, B as in boy, ALDERRAMA.
And thank you. Sierra, by whom are you employed?
I work for the Stained Glass Wedding Chapel.
And prior to working for Stained
Got it. You have to speak into the mic, Mr. Trevor, please.
Trying to rush this along so quickly I forget to
I
pick up the
appreciate it.
microphone.
Believe me, I'd like to help you.
I'm doing my best. How long have you worked for the Stained Glass Wedding Chapel?
A year and a half.
And prior to working for Stained Glass, by whom were you employed?
Garden of Love, Cheryl Llewell.
And do you know Cheryl and Craig Llewell?
Yes, sir.
And you know them through your employment at the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir, for over 2 years.
What kind of work did you do for Las Vegas Garden of Love while you were employed there?
When I first began, I was actually a tux and gown girl. I worked in the back in the tux and gowns. I started selling stuff in the back as far as garters, black socks, additional upgrades, upgraded to flowers, and I got moved to be a wedding coordinator in the front at 200 West Sahara.
Very good. During the course of your being employed at Las Vegas Garden of Love, did you become familiar with their policies and procedures regarding the use of witnesses' names on marriage licenses?
Yes.
And what policy was employed regarding the use of witnesses' names on marriage licenses?
Basically, Cheryl had 3 different chapels when I worked for her. All the coordinators have a desk. It's basically the check-in, check-out desk. Customers come in, you see if they have a reservation. If they do, you take their marriage license, and you have a witness sign if they have their own witness. In the circumstances that somebody does not have a witness, either a coordinator would sign who is not present during the ceremony, who is actually at the front desk, or one of the ministers would actually get somebody to sign for them.
Approximately how many weddings would you do per day at the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
We used to boast that we were the #1 chapel. We did 1,500 weddings a month. I'd say around 40, 50 on a good Saturday and Sunday, good weekend, holiday weekend.
About how long did a wedding take?
About 4 minutes.
And you charged how much for that?
It went from $45 all the way up to $999, the Angel of Love package.
Are you familiar with whether or not the Las Vegas Garden of Love did weddings off premises? That is outside of the building.
Yes, Cheryl Llewell refers to them as WOWs, Wedding on Wheels.
Did Cheryl herself do weddings on wheels?
Her chapel does perform ceremonies on wheels. She's never been to not that I know of, to the Bellagio, Mirage, Valley of Fire, nothing like that, herself personally.
Okay. Are you aware of whether or not Las Vegas Garden of Love did business or did weddings at the Bellagio, Mirage, other strip locations, and the Valley of Fire?
Yes, all the time.
And it's your testimony you call those weddings on wheels?
Wow, yes, sir.
And that Miss Llewell didn't do those weddings on wheels? That is to say, she would not be a witness for weddings at those locations?
Correct.
Can I
She was always in the office.
The council saw earlier a list of weddings performed during December of 2006 to show Mr. Stein weddings performed on December 26, 2006. Turning your attention to 2 in particular. Sorry? If you could take a look. Does this purport to be a marriage certificate from December 26, 2006?
By the way,
Yes, it does, but I did not work there at that time.
Oh, you were not employed there?
No, sir.
So you're just reading the document?
That's what is in front of me, yes.
Okay, Mr. Trevor, you can read it as well as the witness.
I'll have this mooted evidence. It's from the clerk's office.
Fine.
I'll just summarize it in my closing.
Very good. Well, there may not be a closing.
Understood.
Great.
Do you know whether or not Miss Llewell ever had permission to do weddings off premises at the Mirage or Bellagio or other locations on the Strip?
No, we would have to sneak actually at the Bellagio. The Bellagio started hearing about her doing ceremonies out there, so we'd have to, if we booked a ceremony, say at dark, they were usually after dark because the lights go off with the fountains at the same time, and that's for the photo reasons for the bride and groom. It's one of the main reasons they get married at the Bellagio. We are a couple $1,000 cheaper than the Bellagio prices at their chapel. I'm sorry, say the question again?
I think you answered it. Did you have permission to be at the Valley of Fire?
Sometimes, not the Valley of Fire. I'm thinking of Lake Las Vegas. If we had a
Wait a second, please.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you ever perform weddings at Lake Las Vegas?
Yes, we did.
And did you have permission to be at any establishments out there when you were performing?
Only when they would get married on the yacht, when she had to get a permit.
Are you familiar with the sales tactics utilized by Las Vegas Garden of Love?
With hand billing as well as inside, yes.
Have you any knowledge of Craig and Cheryl Llewell's involvement in training individuals to hand bill or solicit on their behalf?
Yes.
Have you witnessed that training?
Yes.
What have you heard Craig and Cheryl Llewell do with respect to training individuals to solicit or handle on their behalf?
The motto they say is, if we can't get them, nobody can.
What does that mean?
Basically means that if Garden of Love cannot pull the ceremony and they think it's going to a different direction, to another wedding chapel, they will actually tell them whatever they can about the other chapel to detour them from going to their chapel.
Have you heard individuals who solicit or handle on behalf of Las Vegas Garden of Love told to stop sales to other wedding chapels?
Stop sales to other wedding chapels.
And it prevents somebody else from getting the business that would normally go to us.
That's what I just said.
Have you ever heard the types of tactics that they were to use in stopping those?
They make rumors that people don't have valid business licenses, that people are churches and they don't have a business license. I've heard her say that, I've said it when I worked for her, that people had cockroaches in their wedding gowns and that you're getting married at a house and not a church. I've heard it all.
Have you ever heard anybody recommend to the hand billers or solicitors on behalf of Las Vegas Garden of Love that they should use violence or threatening tactics to prevent sales to other chapels?
If this counts, repeat the question one more time.
Have you ever heard Cheryl Llewell or Craig Llewell recommend the use of threats or violence to any of their employees to support business to another chapel?
No, but when it does happen, they are patted on the back.
No.
The answer was no.
Have you ever been present when Craig and Cheryl Llewell were at or about the Regional Justice Center during business hours soliciting business on behalf of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Was I ever present? I'm sorry, one more time.
Have you ever seen Craig or Cheryl Llewell solicit business on behalf of the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir.
Have you observed the tactics they used?
Yes, sir.
What type of tactics did they use?
Basically, Cheryl's a very quick talker. She goes out there and she's very good at what she does, and she can sell. If by chance the couple does want to go with a different chapel or maybe doesn't want anything to do with it, the chapel's down there and want to go home and just get into a taxi.
Okay. Let me turn your attention to the licenses themselves. Have you been present during the last couple of days of testimony, that is today and Wednesday, where it was the actual wedding licenses themselves and their filing with the clerk of the court were discussed?
Yes, sir.
What is the policy of the Las Vegas Garden of Love for the filing of licenses once somebody has been married at the chapel?
Okay, just to let you know, we do what we call expedited services of marriage certificates. Couples pay an additional $45 to have their marriage license expedited, which means in a quicker manner than the county can get it within the 45 days. So if we sell certified copies for an additional price, and we promise it to them the next day because they're going to be back the next day to pick it up for immigration reasons or name change or whatever reason being, then we would literally take the licenses down to the Clark County Recorder's office on 500 South Grand Central Parkway and turn them into the little box.
Were you...
and that was whoever was available.
Was it ever the practice to have the ministers do it and not the employees?
The only minister I've ever known of turning his own licenses is a minister by the name of Bob Predmore. He only did a couple of wows for us.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
I find Mr. Stein.
Just a couple, Your Honor.
This one?
Do you do weddings at the Bellagio? Were you presently
for Cheryl Llewell, yes. I'm sorry, what was
you
that?
still work for Cheryl Llewell?
No.
Where do you work then?
The Stained Glass Wedding Chapel.
Does the Stained Glass Wedding Chapel do weddings outside the Bellagio?
I've never been down there to do a wedding, nor have I ever pitched a wedding.
Are your maiden name, you were called up as Sierra Balderrama.
Yeah, that's my married name.
That's your married name.
Yes, sir.
Was your maiden name Sheldon?
Yes, sir.
Were you convicted of a felony burglary charge in California?
Not that I know of, no, sir.
Do you know whether or not there's a warrant out for you for burglary and receiving stolen property?
Not that I know of.
Okay. If I give you a case number, you can check it out in Victorville, okay?
I'm sorry?
If I give you the case number, you can check it out in Victorville?
I don't know what that has to do with this.
Nothing.
Okay.
The licenses that you testified about, the witnesses' names.
Yes.
If Every wedding that you witnessed, that you knew occurred in the chapel, were there photographers present taking pictures?
There's not a question yet.
Were photographers present at a great majority of the weddings?
At a great majority, yes, but not all the time.
And if not a photographer, would other people be present on occasion?
On a very cheap package, the photos are done prior to 3 post pictures on a $45 wedding, which means the minister would only be in the room with the couple because the photographer already pre-did his photos.
But other people could be in the room with the couple.
If they had their own witnesses, yes.
Right. Was your husband a handler at the Garden of Love Chapel while you were working?
Yes, he was.
And did you solicit couples with him at the courthouse?
I did here and there when we needed to fill in a slot. Yes, sir. I verbally solicited as I was told by
Do you still do it with stained glass?
I'm sorry.
Are you outside the RJC?
I do supervise some of my employees that work down there. Yes.
Are you a solicitor?
No.
Do you have a solicitor license?
Do I have a solicitor? No, because I'm not a solicitor.
All right. Jovic? All right, you're excused, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Mike Joseph?
I do, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph, can you state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Michael A. Joseph, Joseph.
And Mr. Joseph, by whom are you employed?
I'm not employed. I'm on Social Security disability.
Our counsel's indulgence for a moment, Your Honor.
Certainly.
We're going to... If I could turn your attention to May of 2004, and we're at tab 8 in your books. Have you had an opportunity to read a document titled Affidavit that appears before tab 8 in the square-green binder I'm showing you?
That's about the witnessing. Yes, that's me.
Did you have a chance to read that prior to my calling you as a witness?
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate statement that you gave on May 30th, 2003?
Yes, sir, it is.
Can you please describe for the counsel who you were working for on that day?
I was working for Cheryl Llewell.
And what did you do for Cheryl?
Las Vegas Garden of Love. I was a hand builder.
And what happened on that particular day?
I witnessed Cheryl talking to a street person and asked her to beat up a competitor, John Zimba, a 63-year-old man. And I told her not to do that. She'll lose her license and go to jail. She told me to shut my mouth and mind my own business. And that was it. And then he was beaten up 2 days later. I believe it was 2 days later.
Did you phone in a report regarding...
I went to the police department and talked to them and filled out a report that she had threatened to had this man beaten up. And then Reverend Smith had seen the man beat up and the money exchanged hands, and he was actually beaten up, a 63-year-old man.
So there come a time when you quit working for Las Vegas Garden?
Yes, when she had one of her employees jump me out on the front of the courthouse steps, and he was a younger boxer, and he jumped me. He said, "This is a payback," and I don't know what they meant by a payback, but this is when he jumped me, and I got in the truck, went back to Cheryl Wells and said I quit and left her the truck. And I walked all the way home. And I was trying to make a little extra money to get ahead. I'm allowed to make that on Social Security disability, sir.
Did the Wells still owe you money at the time you quit?
Yes, she owed me $40.
Did you request that money from them?
Yes, I called and left a recording on her telephone a couple of times about my money, trying to get my money back. And she said she was going to send Craig over to beat me up.
Okay. Did you put that in your statement?
Yes, sir.
Is that the two last sentences on page 1? You said, quote, she said to you, "I'm going to have Craig come to your apartment and whip your A," unquote?
Yes, sir.
Turning your attention to May 19, 2003, did you happen to be in the vicinity of the parking lot at 215 South 3rd Street?
Yes, sir, I did.
What happened at that location?
I heard Chris Kendall and a guy named Jamaica, and that they were planning to attack bureau, the owner of the bureau, and they were going to hit him and everything. And Cheryl said they'd give him $20 or something like that, and then the other one wanted $40. And I went and told Mr. Everett that they were going to do this to him, and he needs to go or call the police.
Okay. Do you know an individual by the name of Jesse Daniels?
Jesse Daniels, I don't really know.
Did you see an individual come up to the podium today to testify who identified himself as Jesse Daniels? Did he identify himself as an employee or a person who worked for a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did you see Mr. Daniels Wednesday last week during the course of this council hearing?
Yes, sir, he came by me and told me not to testify.
And where did that occur?
Out here in the courtyard.
Just outside the council chambers here?
Right.
Was that during the break between the morning session and the afternoon session?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever seen Mr. Daniels prior to him telling you not to testify during the course of that break?
In fact, I didn't know who he was until I found out who he was, and it scared me.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. I have no more questions.
Very briefly, Mr. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
While you were working for Cheryl, did she buy you food on many occasions?
Yes, she did buy me food.
And did she take you shopping on several occasions? Buy things for you?
Never
buy food?
Shopping. She bought me hamburgers and stuff like that, but she did that to all the hand builders.
Did she take you to your apartment on several occasions to help you?
To let me off, yes, sir.
No.
Gave me a ride.
That's it?
Okay.
All right, have a seat, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. My last up will be Lieutenant Glassford.
I do.
Could
you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
George Glassford. My last name is Glas, P as in Paul, E-R.
And Lieutenant Glassford, by whom are you employed?
Clark County Courts.
And do you work at the Regional Justice Center?
I am. I'm the Lieutenant Marshal for the Regional Justice Center.
In your capacity as Lieutenant Marshal for the Regional Justice Center, are you familiar with the activities of solicitors and hand billers who act on behalf of wedding chapels here in the city of Las Vegas?
I am.
Are you familiar with individuals that act on behalf of a chapel called a Las Vegas Garden of Love?
I'm familiar with them through reports and complaints. I am.
Is it your job to receive those complaints and forward them on for appropriate action?
Yes.
In the course of your working at how long have you worked at the Regional Justice Center in this capacity?
I've been a lieutenant since August 13th.
And how long have you been at the Regional Justice Center?
Almost 5 years.
And while you, in the 5-year period, do you receive complaints about the conduct of various individuals acting as hand billers or solicitors?
I do.
Can you tell us what percentage of those complaints involve a Las Vegas Garden of Love versus the other wedding chapels combined?
I would say approximately 90% of the complaints I get are against Garden of Love handlers.
Do you also have occasion to observe video of individuals soliciting in front of the courthouse?
We did.
Have you had occasion to personally view videos of individuals soliciting on behalf of Las Vegas Garden of Love?
Yes.
Can you describe whether the manner in which they solicit individuals based on your viewing of those videotapes?
In particular, a video that we took last Thursday, we started trying to keep track of things now because we're getting so many complaints. And what we've done is in the past, they never identified who the hand billers worked for. Since I've been the lieutenant, I've tried to identify them. And most of the complaints that I get are from just about all of the wedding chapels, and most of them involve some sort of intimidation, aggressiveness involved with the Garden of Love. I bought some stills, and these are some videos that we took. This was taken last Thursday by our camera that we have outside, and in it we have it's a white female that we don't know who she works for, but she's out attempting to do her handbill thing. We have other folks that we've identified as Garden of Love employees that are making threats, appear to be making threats. We don't have audio, but they're making aggressive moves toward her. We took pictures of these individuals and I brought them in today. One is Hispanic male. We've identified him as Rob. Brown of Brown works, is part owner of the Garden of Love is what we have here. Another one that we have is a Craig. He was observed staring her down. I tried to bring the officer in. I'd like to point out that we have dispatchers that monitor the cameras, and the officers would go in and watch them when the dispatcher calls them in and tells them what's going on.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to show on the overhead the printout that the lawyer is referring to. Like the last one.
Just that one?
Referring to Craig. Well.
Okay.
I would like the record to reflect the witness did not say Craig Llewell. I think he said Craig.
Craig.
It's obvious looking at it.
All right. I don't hear anything. Let me just see.
This is actually we've taken pictures of everyone that work out there, all the handlers. We just film and take them all and.
You know who this is?
It says on the bottom, I believe.
Yes. That's true. That's true. This is, with all due respect, what we're interested in, Mr. Jervik, is we're interested in finding out the thought process of Mr. DiFiore when he made his determination that he was not going to renew the license. This takes place after we began this hearing, so I'm going to say that it's irrelevant and disregard everything we've heard concerning this.
For the record, Your Honor, I didn't ask the question. Mr. Stein did.
Okay, but this
I stopped by asking him what...
I understand, but whatever this witness is testifying to that took place after Mr. DiFiore made his decision may be grounds for another day, but not for today.
I have no problem with that. I didn't intend to go there in the first place.
Okay, fine.
I have no further questions, Lieutenant Glasper.
All right. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My final witness will be Stephen Smith.
That's it.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Stephen Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
And Reverend Smith, by whom are you employed?
The Downtown Community Church.
And in your capacity with, how long have you been with the Downtown Community Church?
Since about 2000.
Are you familiar with solicitation activities around the Regional Justice Center involving the Las Vegas Garden of Love?
My personal knowledge of it dates back several years ago, but I haven't been around the courthouse for many years.
Are you aware of an incident that occurred back in 2004 involving an individual by the name of John Zaremba?
I'm aware of it, and I was there. I don't remember what year it was.
Very good. Can you describe for the council the incident that you observed?
Well, there was two incidents, actually, as I remember, and they were one night after another, the very next night. And John had been homeless for many years.
Objection. I have to stop this. Really, this is cumulative at this point. Does the witness have anything in addition to what we've heard already?
He's going to draw together the last piece of who paid who regarding this particular beating. Did you see the money exchange hands during the course of the incident involving Mr. Zaremba?
I saw money change hands from Cheryl Newell to a homeless man.
And what role did the homeless man play in the incident involving Mr. Zaremba?
When Mr. Zaremba came back from a block down the street, he told me he had just gotten beaten up by this man.
Very good. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
This time? None? All right. You're excused, sir. Thank you.
No, that's it.
All right. Very good. Is there any rebuttal?
Yes, sir. I'll leave this with you rather than play it. I have here...
That's talking to the mic.
I have here some discs which directly contradict some of the testimony that Mr. Jervik put on. For instance, Sierra Bolderama stated that she never sold Bellagio wedding. There is a video here of her selling a Bellagio wedding at the chapel. Larry Threadgill, said he has never been threatened by the Garden of Love, only stained glass. Go the other way around.
Wait, you're not testifying now. Mr. Stein?
We have here a videotape contradicting his testimony. There also is a DVD tape which was in your car. Oh, that's them? They're on here, and they directly contradict quite a bit of the testimony produced in rebuttal.
All right. Now, let me ask you this question: Where did you get these DVDs?
From Cheryl Llewellyn.
Okay, and when were they taken?
Recently down at the RJC, the whole time when I was working down at the RJC, you're going to see some from the old courthouse, some from the new.
Well, we're not going to see them, obviously.
Oh, sorry.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Stein. Anything else? All right. That winds it up. You know this. You can put that into evidence if you'd like, Mr. Stein. The record should reflect that we haven't heard it nor seen it. The evidence is fresh in our minds. Do you want to make some kind of a closing statement? It's really not necessary, I don't believe, because we have heard this evidence, and if there's something you want to point out to us that you think is extraordinary, I'd be happy to hear from you. But I think that we certainly understand the presentation of the evidence here. We have listened very carefully as a council, and I believe that we're ready to consider a motion. Yes, Councilwoman.
The only concern I have is if the videotapes they have do show that someone was lying. So far, nothing has shown that.
Well, if you want to play do you have some machine you want to play the videotapes on?
We have a DVD player on the way around.
No.
I thought maybe the council chambers had a DVD player.
I don't believe that we do. Do we have a DVD? No, I really don't think it's necessary. Do you want us to look at this, Mr. Stein?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we're going to look at it. We're in recess. Whatever you say.
So far, most of
Mayor, before they play it, just once again, what are we looking for?
We're looking for contradictions, apparently. These DVDs apparently were taken outside the Regional Justice Center, and it's a representation by counsel that contradicts the testimony of the witnesses. Let's see it. Yes. How many are these? Do you want these all played, Mr. Stein?
No, sir. I don't want them all played.
How many do we want to play? We have stained glass chapel.
Stained glass.
Well, we have two stained glass chapels.
Same. Two of the same.
All right, we've got Ridatas. Why don't you play for us what you want, and don't put the others in the record. Anything you want us to hear and see, we'll hear. The rest don't go into the record. I don't care. I don't have to see it first. Nope, unless... there's no pornography on there, is there? Okay, fine. Then we'll see it. Well, if it's vulgarity, that's fine, as long as it's not pornographic. Huh? Well, that's up to him to play.
I'll go with her. And then come back and explain what's on there.
The pizza's already cold.
May I ask what we're waiting for?
They're putting the disc in the disc player in the back room. And I don't know. I guess it'll come on the TV screen.
I don't know how it works. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. All set? All right, let's play them. You want to have this marked? What is this?
It's the stained glass chapel.
Do we have a shot, like a foundation, as to when this was taken, who took it, where it was taken, or are we just watching movies?
Because, Mr. Mayor, we were told that some of the statements made today were not true, and that's what these are supposed to be.
No, but I'd like to find out, when was this taken?
It was taken after Sierra left Garden 11 and went to work at Stained Glass Wedding Chapel because there were a lot of allegations against us.
Not open? And who took it?
Some S. Laundry took it along with Jocelyn, and she was acting like she was a bride. You'll see why we took the video.
Where are you in the pool? Why not get married to the bird if we wanted to come down? Yeah, that's not made of honor, I'm sorry. If you all very quick, you can't get everything on the table. The outside and the inside same outside. Okay, in the phone book, when I was going through it, at the hotel, there was like some documents that was like about going down the bus, and I have like things like special weddings, like at outside locations, like operations, audios, like Rock Valley Fire, like Las Vegas. Do you have like license or prepared on that? Howdy, partner. Oh, shit.
Do we really want to see this? Do we really want to see this?
It all depends on who takes the damn videos.
Great Rock Valley Fire at the hotel myself personally. Bellagio, which is like, and we have the one we look like in the Red Rock, Red Rock. I don't do Red Rock in September, so it's super hot. It's in my car. Text me 3 minutes and we'll get the video.
Okay, I've seen enough of it. Next.
What is the next one?
The other video is Mary Threadfield saying that no, he's never been threatened by Garden 11 at all, only saying that stuff.
So what does this say?
It said that she was talking about weddings at the Bellagio, when she said she never saw weddings at the Bellagio. It's so attenuated at this point.
She didn't tell it.
No, it's so attenuated. I'll accept proffers instead of watching this, because this is just wasting our time.
The other one is Larry Threadgill saying he never was. Larry Threadgill saying he was never threatened by the Garden of Love. He was threatened by some other chapel.
All right.
Contrary to what he said.
All right.
I accept the fact that you want to take proffers, Your Honor. I'm not going to stipulate.
Fine, that's fine. Okay, next proffer.
That's it, just those two.
Okay, then we'll call it a day.
I would also state for the record, I don't think these videos have been viewed by any counsel.
Well, they certainly haven't been viewed by us, and to me, it's balancing the time necessary to look at it with all the extraneous material. I don't give any effect to the probative value of it. And if that's the statement, that's fine. Unless you can cue in. Mr. Stein, if you cue into his statement, that's fine. But to have DVD that we have to watch the whole thing, it's not worth it.
No, there's just stuff in front of the courthouse.
Okay. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
Your Honor, I would just like to say a couple of sentences on a
All right, fine.
30 seconds.
All right, it's your burden.
There's been an awful lot of testimony here since Wednesday, and I know that there's going to be an attempt to make this look like an entire industry that's corrupt and an entire industry that is taking from the public and performing sham marriages, whatever you want to call them. I urge you to keep your eye on the ball here. This is not a clean industry, and certainly there are shenanigans going down at the courthouse that none of us approve of, but I can tell you that that's not what the evidence shows you that you've heard on Wednesday and today. 90%, according to a neutral witness, Lieutenant from the courthouse, shows that this is all garden of love. Testimony from the witnesses, hiring people, beating people, threatening people, using tactics no other chapel uses. You hear chapel versus chapel in any other context. It's chapel versus garden of love. This chapel versus garden of love. Another chapel versus garden of love. The center of it is the garden of love. And I used to argue when I was a prosecutor that sometimes the best defense is to act like an octopus, make it all everybody else's fault, spray the ink, and get away. And I submit to you that's what's happening here today. This is not a garden of love. This is a garden of shame. And what they have done to this industry and how they've tainted the reputation of it deserves Mr. DiFiore's rejection.
All right, folks. All right, folks. No need for that.
I believe the evidence more than meets any standard of proof necessary to sustain the director's decision not to renew this license and to sustain any district court judge's decision that you made the right decision here today. I ask you to affirm his decision.
All right, Mr. Stein, would you like to be heard? Yes.
I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to say anything, but since Mr. Jervik did, I will. I said at the beginning that it's my opinion this is a conspiracy.
Folks, please, I don't want to have the marshal take you out.
I still feel that way. These problems began in this industry way before the Lowells were present. Historically, the problems have been going on for years. The problems are with the hand billers. The problems are because the hand billers, some of them, are paid with bonuses. They do solicit contrary to the regulations. They violate the city codes. These two people do not complain to the city or to Metro or to the marshals or to anybody else when something is done to them. They do not file complaints. The other people have filed complaints led by 2 or 3 of the major competitors who wish to put them out of business. I have attempted to show through whatever means I had at my disposal the lack of credibility of some of these people, the lack of credibility of some of these allegations. I am not saying, and I agree with Mr. Jervik, and I said this years ago, the industry needs tougher regulations. That's not for today, but it does. But I agree with Mr. Jervik that something need be done. And what need be done is to do away with the hand billing, and then you won't have a problem, in my opinion. If this industry advertised on the internet, in the newspapers, on the radio, and the way other industries advertise, without hand billing, we wouldn't be here today. There wouldn't be the fights, there wouldn't be the allegations, there wouldn't be the competitiveness, other than in the field of advertising. And I would suggest to the Mayor Pro Tem, the Mayor, and the rest of the Council that you take away these people's hand billing license. Cancel it. Revoke it. Take it away. No more hand billing, no more soliciting by their chapel. Let's see what happens. Put them on probation for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't care. Without the hand billing problems, there won't be any problems. Except if the problems emanate from someone who doesn't want the competition from Cheryl Lowell, who is a heck of a competitor in this field.
Thank you. All right. Mayor Pro Tem. Any questions of the council members at this time? Any questions or comments? All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. we've listened to basically 2 days of testimony. I think it's up to us to decide, what we're to believe. I think that, we try to look at those videos. I think it all depends on, to me, who's taking the videos and where and what. It's really a hard game, I guess, when you really look at it. I have on record where Mr. and Mrs. Llewell admitted to the offenses that the TSA, the Transportation Services Authority, got them on. They admitted to that. We have that. We have the Garden of Love doing business without a license. The one thing that really is important to me is I think there was many people that were married at the Garden of Love or through the Garden of Love, and they talk about responsibilities. They talk about the independent contractors. I understand that. But again, though, I think even with any independent contractor, you are still responsible for those chores that they are supposed to be taken care of in the proper light. This wasn't done. I think that Mrs. Llewell created a nuisance in the operation of her business by instructing her handbillers at the Regional Justice Center to engage in aggressive tactics against competitors and disrupt their businesses. I think Christopher Kendall, who was employed by the Garden of Love, he did plead guilty to a battery while on duty against the stained glass Lady Chapel employee. I think Mr. Llewell created a nuisance in the operation of his business by battering a competitor at the Regional Justice Center. I mean, we can go on and on and on about the things that have happened over there, and whether, as Mr. Stein said, that it's been going on for years and years and years. Yes, maybe the city does have a responsibility to get in there and try to clean this mess up. I know that I'm going to have a meeting with my staff tomorrow. That doesn't do us any good here tonight, Mr. Stein, so I can certainly appreciate the comments that you made. But for these reasons, Your Honor, and many other reasons that was put on this record, I move to deny the Las Vegas Garden of Love's appeal.
All right, let's vote. Post. Motion carries. All right, folks, do you have citizens' participation now? No. Okay, the meeting's adjourned. Go to court. Say we made a mistake. Okay.
Okay, good to be downstairs. I'll be right out here.